If you've ever been super excited for the Thanksgiving week of the market, which we are at right now, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button, folks, because this is one of the best weeks to be a trader. The smells of the holidays all in the house, the shortened week for Thanksgiving, food, football, family, and friends. It really doesn't get much better. But before that, we've got 3 days where we've got some money to be made. We've got earnings coming, got a couple of economic events on Wednesday. Let's roll. All right, folks, good Monday morning. I hope that you all had a great weekend. I know it is a truncated holiday week. Reports from the airports are that they are slammed with people. So it sounds like a lot of folks are starting their traveling. We're going to do whatever we can to make some money in the meantime. Anyway, it is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. White chocolate mocha. We're starting off our week with a white chocolate mocha. We can't lose this week. Thank you. Good morning. You're watching Run, F, and P10. Let me go ahead and add those here to the list. We actually don't have a whole lot of stocks to look at, so I'll take anything from the chat. Good morning, white chocolate mocha. Happy Monday. Chuck, welcome back. It's good to see you again as always. And Tom, welcome back. Go Lions. They are insane. Obviously, how about the Bears? How about the Bears? Caleb Williams is the real deal and winning or trying to win games, playing well in spite of an incompetent coach. So pretty amazing. If we're able to fix that, we might have something on our hands here. Nick, good morning. You want to take thoughts on SMCI? Sure, that's gapping up here today. Let me add that to the list. We'll go ahead and do that here. But first, we have to do the rundown. We're going to start here with SPY. We're going to take a look where the market is. We were telling you yesterday or last week, that we were kind of trading back up to this trend line. Well, it looks like that's where we're going here. Look around the markets here this morning. SPY here at 598.58 here in the pre-market, so pretty good. SPY's up about 0.5%. Q's up about 0.5%. Dow up just a little bit more than 0.5%, 0.69. Gold down about 1%, 1.2%. VIX is also down here a little bit into a 14 handle. Every time that the VIX has printed in the 12 or 13s, the market is kind of sold off, and we've bounced a little bit there. Or excuse me, the market has kind of sold off, and the VIX has bounced a little bit there. But we're just now breaking 15 into the 14 handle. So we'll see where we end up here this week. 3D, good morning. Great to see you again. As always, you want to take a look at Disney? We will do that. No problem. And then Dell. Yeah, we actually have that on the list here already, Tom. So good stuff. All right. Now, as far as the SPY goes here today, it sure seems to me that 600 is going to be on deck, right? Because it looks like we're pressing right up against this trend line here. We'll see if we break it. 600 is going to be that all-time high. That exact number is actually 617. So it looks like maybe we'll break that out this week as well, maybe pop to the upside. I know a lot of people we were talking with in the happy hour group last week, a lot of them were bullish, especially going into this week. With the holiday and the truncated week, we might be a little light on volume here this week, which would actually be pretty good for some of these smaller trades that we do. So SPY here is just shy of 600, just shy of the trend line. Green arrows here in the morning. There is some talk that maybe that has to do with Trump's pick for Treasury, right? So it looks like the market kind of gapping up on some more certainty that we're getting over the weekend here. Trump's Commerce Secretary pick, Howard Lutnick. Nope. There's one in here. Gosh. Here we go. U.S. stocks likely to open on a positive note as Trump's Treasury Secretary pick uplifts investor sentiment. Expert says bull market is alive and well. We'll tell you what, the market has been telling us that it is a bull market, and it is alive and well for several weeks now. We'll see if IWM and other small caps will outperform. They did have a good close to the week last week. I do see some more action here today, so we are encouraged going into that. All right, let's talk about some of the top stories here I bet you folks can't even believe that I'm going to start with this as a top story. Here is AMC Holdings popping a little bit here in the pre-market, up just about 0.8%. It was up 3.5% earlier. Wicked soars with $114 million domestic opening. The estimate was for 120 to 140. It's sitting right there at 114. That had a fairly decent opening, although it's down from the estimate. And then Gladiator 2 there's just about 55 million. In fact, just over 55 million, 55.5 million. The estimate there was for 60 to 80. So those two movies are, here's actually the news story that I wanted to share with you guys. If you guys want to kind of look into that popping here, we'll see if that's got enough to juice AMC. One of the reasons we're tying this to AMC is that this week, at least in my experience, going all the way back to 2014, we see a lot of crazy stuff this week. And AMC is no stranger to trading crazy itself. Obviously AMC, GME, some of those meme names, no stranger. Now they've got some movie catalysts behind it. So we'll see if those numbers tick up anymore. We'll see if that ends up driving any of these stocks higher. But that's what's going on. Wicked and Gladiator out there. The next story that I wanted to talk about here has to do with Intel. So we'll actually take a look here, INTC real quick. I know that this was, again, another stock that a number of our groups were taking a look at. We've actually had pretty good luck trading Intel in the past. And I think the last time we talked about this here on this show, we had a couple of chatters wondering if the bottom was in or if this was a decent buy. Intel holding here about 24.5. The news here, Intel's federal CHIPS grant shrinks below $8 billion as the Biden administration recalibrates the CHIPS Act funding. I have that story here for you as well. I'll throw it in the chat if you want to take a look at that. If you look into this, it looks like basically they reduced it by $500 million. So to receive less than $8 billion, a reduction from the $8.5 billion initially announced earlier this year. So it looks like a little bit of a trim there, not a whole lot. Intel not really responding to that here this morning. If you take a look, I mean, we're up 0.2%. So doesn't really look like Intel is necessarily responding to this yet, but keep in mind that is out there. So we'll see if that has an effect on some of the other chip names as well. Intel, the primary one that we want to take a look at, though. All right. Next, okay, we'll do this Macy's one that the producer is on here. Let's take a look at Macy's here real quick. Macy's shares are trading lower after the company delayed its Q3 earnings release and conference call, citing an issue related to delivery expense with one of its accrual accounts, prompting an independent investigation. Yikes. So that doesn't sound good. However, don't really think that this is going to be an SMCI situation. So we'll see here. You can actually see Macy's had a fairly decent day on Friday. Now, it did give up some of those gains here in the pre-market before retracing this. So we'll see what the next move is here for Macy's. I've got that here. That is going to be Tuesday before the open. So tomorrow morning before the open, we should get that report. I know that they said they were delaying it. We'll see what happens here with Macy's. One of the others, and this is one I don't necessarily trade. We'll see if this kind of kickstarts the retail stocks or anything like that. I'm kind of passing on this. I'll wait and see what happens here. Very much the same approach as when we took a look at SMCI, although that now seems like it's tradable, and we will take a look at SMCI a little bit later here in the morning. Let me keep running down some of the top news stories here. Another one is going to be on Rocket Lab. This is actually gapping up again, up 11.5% here in the pre-market. Rocket Lab, U.S. finalizes award to BAE Systems, Rocket Lab for semiconductor chips. You can see the why is it moving here. The reason at the top, Rocket Lab shares are trading higher after the company announced it deployed 5 satellites to low Earth orbit. Also, the company finalized $23.9 million award. So there you go. That is what's driving Rocket Lab. These space stocks have been a great theme. Our group has been on it for a while, so it's really, really awesome to see. Looks like we're going to get some more continuation here today on Rocket Lab. This has been a great day trade for us in our sessions here, whether it's Rocket Lab or ASTS. I know a lot of you guys are swinging RCAT, which is really, really awesome. So a lot of the space stuff really beneficial here. The one thing I just want to keep everyone on top of this. We are fairly extended from some of these moving averages, and we have had quite the move here. So if you're trading these things, do not be afraid to book your profit. No one ever went broke taking a profit. Do not be afraid to make sure you keep some of the gains in your pocket so you don't give all of these back up. But again, Rocket Lab up here, 11.5%. Likely going to be another big day for that. Next one here real quick is going to be gold. We'll also tie Bitcoin into this. Bitcoin down here a little bit. Bitcoin down 1.78% here on the futures chart. Gold here was down a little bit more earlier. This was down over 1% earlier. We've pared some of those losses back here now, down 0.8%. Gold tumbles as traders turn attention to the Fed's next move. So remember, Fed going to be on a cutting cycle here, albeit slower. That should outperform for small caps. We'll see what that does for gold and the markets. Bitcoin, which has really been kind of moving recently, taking a little bit of a move back as it's taking a pause before breaking through that 100K mark. I think that's totally healthy, and I'm definitely okay with that. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the Bitcoin stocks for sure. I also think we have Mara coming up here for something. We'll take a look. Actually, was that? We'll take a look here at Mara in a sec. Sorry, let me keep running down the list here. And then I do want to take a look at the IWM. I don't know if you folks trade the IWM. I know we trade a lot of those stocks. A lot of those small cap stocks, but man, oh man, the story setting up here on the IWM is a good one. This is trading up to this double top area. I've got that. You could really kind of call this an area. Let's call it maybe 242 to 244-ish, maybe even 245. This area looks like this is going to get tested here. If we look recently at the IWM, you've seen some really good bullish action here. A couple of bounces clean off the 200-day, which is exactly what you wanted to see. We had this nice breakout through 226, 227. We actually back tested that area and have started to move higher. Again, great from a technical perspective where we're at here. Now it looks like we want to take out this recent high that also corresponds to a high back from November of 2021. All systems go here for the IWM. So hopefully we continue to move up here. If you're overweight small caps like I am, this should be a decent end to the year if small caps get going. So this is definitely what we're going to look at. November small cap surge could carry into December's Santa rally. The historical trends are on our side for that. So we'll go ahead and watch that. Fingers crossed for that. Here is the story. Throw that in the chat there. I encourage you folks to check all that out. Okay, that's pretty much what's going on in terms of the news. I'm sure we'll see more news. I also did see, as far as like the regular market goes, looks like Israel and Lebanon are working on a ceasefire. That should also be bullish for the market. So we'll see if we get any more headlines about that. Now, let's keep moving on here. We do have one earnings report to talk about. And we're actually going to have several earnings reports prior to the Thanksgiving holiday. So we should have some more stuff here coming up. Taking a look, though, BBWI is going to be your ticker here. That's Bath and Body Works. Stock's up 13% here in the pre-market. Awesome. Bath and Body Works. This was a beat on the top and the bottom line and a guidance raise. So we have they're trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q3 EPS and raised 2024 guidance. Just kind of looking at the chart here, we're in a pretty decent spot. So the stock's at like 34.70 right now. You can see that this really took out this sideways area, this little channel that we've been in since what, September? Yeah, pretty much since the beginning of September. This sideways channel that we're in, we have broken that off. So as long as this holds here, maybe we have kind of put in a near-term bottom. Next spot that I have here is going to be 36, and that lines up with this high from from August 26th. So if we can take out 36 here today, I definitely think that's on deck if we get a little bit more volume after the open here. 36, and then the next level here is going to be this 38 handle, and you'll notice that the 500-day is at 38.35 and the 200-day is at 38.83. I would expect that entire 38 handle to provide some type of resistance. And let me tell you something, if we're able to pop through that, giddy up, I think this thing trades even higher. I think 40 and maybe even 42 is possible. Not saying it's going to go there, but this is a pretty good catalyst here for Bath and Body Works. Pretty good report. And the market is rewarding it up 13% here in the pre-market. Now, as far as later today goes, that's pretty much all we have for earnings here. And again, with the truncated week, probably not a whole lot of earnings, but there is one more I'd like you to prepare for and maybe keep it on your watch list for potential trades here today. And that is going to be ticker Zoom. That is going to be Zoom, ticker ZM. They are set to report after the close here today. And if you take a look at this daily chart, man, oh man. So first of all, this is fairly self-explanatory, right? Zoom down massively from the highs. If you take a look at the weekly chart here and the monthly chart, you can see how big that move down is. But this was from COVID, right? This was back when there were people that thought, oh, we're never going to leave. Zoom is going to be the only way that we work and communicate. Obviously, that price got mega overinflated, and you're seeing the backside of that move. Now, the good news here, especially given that enough time has passed here, it does look like maybe we've put in a near-term bottom. We've kind of tested a whole bunch of areas lower here. In some cases, we double bottomed, triple bottomed, quadruple bottomed, and then ended up recapturing those levels. So maybe now we are on the upside move here. And looking at this daily chart, you can see even with today's action here at 88.15, up 2.6% in the pre-market, we're actually above that recent high. That is awesome. And you can see going all the way back here, we are now in a gap from 2022. This gap fills here at 97. So watch for these earnings here today. Let me actually see if I can get you what the options are pricing in here. Options are pricing in an $8.50 move early on here today. So watch Zoom. That one is likely going to be in play here today. I'll keep an eye for some unusual option activity flow and see if the options market tips us off to any type of players playing for the print here today. No position for me on this print, but this one's wild. The options are liquid, and there could be some trading opportunities here today on Zoom, ticker ZM. Earnings after the bell. Now, a quick look ahead till tomorrow. Before the opening, we're going to have Abercrombie, ticker ANF. Take a look at that chart here. Again, this kind of in our retail, this kind of fitting in our retail theme here. You saw Bath and Body Works this morning. Popping and going up 13%. Well, Abercrombie reports earnings tomorrow morning as well. And you can see exactly where this chart is here. Done a really good job on this move back, really kind of holding above the 50 and the 200-day, which are now converging. Looks like the price is trying to push away. A positive report here probably has us testing 168 or 170. So we'll see if we can get into that. Would be my guess. And a really quick look here at the options market, pricing in a $19.8 move on Abercrombie. $19.8. So that should be a big report. We'll see what happens for that in the morning. Also, we're getting Kohl's, right? So some of these retail names on here the week of Black Friday and ahead of the holiday season. I'll be honest, I'm much less interested in Kohl's, but given the chart here, this might actually surprise to the upside. This has been kind of beaten down. We're up 1.8% here in the pre-market. Again, they report tomorrow morning prior to the market open. Next one on that list, again, here in the morning is going to be Best Buy. This has done a really good job holding its 200-day recently. So we'll see if Best Buy ends up getting a move. This also reports earnings. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Macy's is going to report too. They've got those accounting errors and irregularities that they have to deal with. One more here is going to be Dick's. That's ticker DKS. They also report tomorrow morning, and they are also pretty much right at that 200-day. So if we get any type of repeat of what we saw here today for Bath & Body Works with some of these other retail names, we could have a pretty decent morning with some of these names tomorrow. Also worth noting, you folks, someone had mentioned Dell earlier today. Dell reports after hours tomorrow, along with CrowdStrike, Workday, and Hewlett-Packard. That should get you all set for the earnings here this week. All right, let me catch up here real quick. Good morning. Good morning, Hugh. It's great to see you again. Can you do Apple analysis? Sure, we can add Apple to the list. I haven't done that yet. Apple, a stock that I've held for a long time. Be happy to take a look at that. Good morning, Felipe. You got your eye on BBAI and SoundHound. Both of those stocks were on the movers list here this morning, so we can go ahead and check those out. By the way, the quantum computing theme that we were trading last week seems to be back this week, as a lot of those names are on the movers as well. So we still have that to break down going forward here. Good morning, Kayla. It's great to see you again. Good morning, Florida Yacht Insurance Guy. Welcome back. Can somebody tell Palantir to slow down? I'm waiting for the pullback that never comes. Tom, yeah, just keep being patient. We will get a pullback at some point. Do not chase. Otherwise, you're really going to get yourself hurt. Robert, good morning. It's great to see you. Looking at Palantir, Zoom, and Autodesk this week. Palantir has their Investors Day this week. Thank you, Robert. Really, really good stuff. And good morning, Fairchild. Good to see you again here this morning. Okay, we did catch up on all those comments. Jane, great to see you this morning. Sava Phase 3, missed party over for them and me too. We'll take a look here at Sava in a little bit. No question about it. One more reminder that I wanted to give you before we dive into some of these individual names and talk about some different trade setups here. Just a quick look at the economic events. Again, with the truncated week, some of these economic events were shifted around a little bit. Today, we have a few treasury bill auctions. Honestly, this shouldn't really move the market. We'll see if it does. My thought is that it probably won't, but that's going to be the 3-month, the 6-month, and the 2-year. We'll see what happens there. Tuesday, however, tomorrow we get consumer sentiment, and that could be interesting as we come up into the holidays here. I'd be curious to know what that consumer sentiment print yields, and then also how some of these retail stocks or other stocks respond to that. So that's coming tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, that's going to be our big day here for economic data this week, because there is no market on Thursday, and they moved some of the stuff off of Friday only being a half day, by the way. Wednesday, we have core PCE data as well as the jobless claims. So we'll see if that data is enough to move the market here right ahead of the holiday. We'll see. Now, one more thing on that Friday, Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, we will be here. I talked to 13. He's good. I'm good. And I also talked to Anne-Marie, and she's good. So we're going to go all the way from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. with the Anne-Marie show being tucked in on the back end there. So if you are not camping at a store waiting for some doorbusters, if you're still kind of shaking off all of the food from Thanksgiving, I cannot think of a better place to be than in here making money doing all of that stuff. Did you talk with, did you talk with your producer? We did not actually talk to the producer. But the reality is that we don't ask for permission. We ask for forgiveness around these parts. So producer, pull yourself out of bed. We're going to need you. I guess we did just ask about that. So, okay, that's kind of what's going on here. Let's see, where am I at on my list? We took care of the earnings. We took care of the economic events. We're going to take a look at the pre-market movers here. Okay. Okay, let's talk about some trades here real quick from last week. First one we're going to start with is my trade that I am absolutely stoked about. We talked a lot about ELF, and I really quickly want to review why this trade was taken and how this trade was identified. So on this day right in here, Wednesday, November 20th, ELF had a short report released by Muddy Waters on it. And it was this price at, we've actually seen a lot of these short reports recently really drive stocks. Some of them are driven down only to bounce. Others are driven down, like SMCI, for example, driven down and then admitted that there was something going on there. And then the stock took multiple legs lower after that. And then some of these just get completely ignored and the stock ends up going higher. And what we saw here on ELF, the catalyst for me was twofold. Part one was the price action. So I'm going to go back to the 5-minute chart here. And we're going to go back to that Wednesday. Look at this price action. Stock, first of all, stock closed at about 121 bucks. Traded down a little bit on just regular volume. And then the short report came out. So this was a move from 119.5 down to $103 at the low. Now, any of you that remember we talked about ELF, and we talked about this really having a decent bounce spot at 100. In fact, at the time, Dennis Dick bought ELF, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take the other side of your trade. He went long. I'm going to take the other side of your trade. I'm going to go short because I think it actually breaks that $100 level and then prints somewhere in the low to mid 90s, which is what the chart was telling me there. Well, that didn't occur. The stock bounced from that $100 level. I ended up taking my L. Dennis took his W, and then the stock set up again. But fool me once, okay. Fool me twice, I don't think so. When this stock traded down to 102, couldn't retest that 100, and then the ferocity of the buyers taking this back, like pretty much right away, you've got this very, very sharp V bottom. It consolidated a little bit, and instead of retesting the low, when it tried to sell off, the buyers doubled down and said, nope, we're not going to sell off. We're not even going to retest that level. So we're certainly not going to break the $100 level lower. This got bought back up same day of that short report, almost back to balance. So you're talking about like an $18 range here. That price action was excellent. Near the close of that day, I said, this is really, really strong. I think that this short report is going to kind of be bunk. Let's buy some calls. Well, I also happened to see part two of this trade. I also happened to realize that there were super aggressive call buyers. In fact, there was a sweep of 25,000 contracts in the November weekly 125. That is the contract that expires this Friday for $125. After seeing that, I said, you know what? I'm going to follow this in. I'm going to play at the same strike because I know that there's going to be plenty of traders in there. The very next day, we actually traded up towards 127. Then on Friday, we traded up towards 128. And today, we are now gapping up $3 here in the pre-market. This is exactly what we wanted to see. The next day on Thursday, this was also bolstered by a bunch of repeat call buyers for last week's 125 contract. So the initial buy was for this week's. The repeat buys were for last week's. This did eventually go into the money. So those call buyers were rewarded. So the anatomy of this trade, we're watching large option activity. We're watching key levels on the chart, and we're watching what the market participants tell us. They told me that they were not buying this short report, and ELF is going higher here today. So now that we're there, these calls should open at plus 100%. I'm going to be looking to book gains on that here today, and that trade should be done. Now, no celebrating until we actually have the closed trade, but that's what we're looking at. Next, I want to share one here from my producer. Another trade here, Wayfair, ticker W. Now, some of you are familiar with the really annoying jingles that they have on television. I know they get me all the time. I find myself humming it, and then I want to punch myself because they're so annoying. But the stock is actually pretty fun to trade. We have seen some strength for Walmart. By the way, that was a losing trade for me. I actually we told you how Walmart looks extremely extended. In fact, last week we had Matt Maley tell us that, or Matt Maley, excuse me, that this is in fact extended. If you take a look at the monthly chart, it's like really extended. Tried a short here, tried to nibble on some Walmart puts, and the stock was just like, nope. North we go, higher we go. So those puts are likely going to expire worthless. Let me see if I can get you the stats on those. Those are going to be the December 2083 put. I'm still in them, but they are smoked. They are down like something like 80-something%. So Walmart continuing to move to the highs. Now that might tell us what Wayfair is going to do. So a producer here was saying, with the strength here in Walmart, I should have jumped on Wayfair immediately. If you look at I like the way that the producer described this here, quote, batshit crazy way W trades, end quote. It can provide some amazing Thursday and Friday lotto tickets with options. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up, I know that this trade here is already done, but the good news here is this might be in play this week. Remember, this week can be crazy. And we have a slew of other retail earning reports tomorrow morning, as we just covered with Abercrombie, Kohl's, Best Buy, and Macy. So Wayfair might be a way to play that. So just wanted to kind of cover that here today. Just taking a quick look at the chart here. It does look like we've maybe kind of put in a bottom here. I would say double bottom. Maybe if you want to get crazy, you could say a triple bottom going all the way back to October of 2023. But in any case, this near-term double bottom here, next level to me looks to be very, very clear here with some of the moving averages. We're currently at $45 here in the pre-market. We have the 100-day and the 50-day converging here at 47.40 and 47.86. So look for 47.5, your next area of resistance, and then also the 200-day here at 53. So Wayfair, this is not a bad idea, and I don't think this is totally out of the woods yet. I think this might end up producing some trade ideas for us, depending on what those other stocks do with their earnings print. So really good stuff here. We'll see if that ends up working out. Okay, I do want to save the movers for 13 because we talked a lot together about the quantum computing angle. There's a lot on there. We can break the entire movers chart down when 13 shows up. So in the meantime, I took care of the rest of my list here. Just take a look around the market, see if anything's changed. S&P futures still up about 0.5%. Dow futures still up 0.7%. And I think the NASDAQ futures probably the same here. Indeed, NASDAQ futures up just about 0.5%. So nothing has really changed from this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stocks that you folks wanted to take a look at. And we're going to start here with ticker PLTR, Palantir. First things first, I know we were already just kind of talking about how we really want this to kind of take a break. You really want this to come back in. We want to have some type of level that makes sense for us to be able to take this long instead of just chasing it. I'm with you on all of that here. Palantir Technology shares trading higher after Wedbush maintained an outperform rating on the stock and raised its price target from $57 to $75. Literally all I can say is that our group had Palantir long flagged. Thank gosh we were not part of the short train because those shorts are absolutely obliterated here. Palantir looks like this is going to go higher. I'll say this, if you're, you want to keep scalping this, that's fine. But at this point, if you're looking to kind of load this up for the long side, just wait a little bit. At some point, you will get a pullback. Okay. At some point you will get a pullback. So there's the news here today. Nice breakout. Look at the RSI here, 73.76 on this daily chart. If we take a look at the weekly chart, you can see how extended we are. 83.43 weekly RSI, and it just gets even crazier when you go to the monthly chart. Look at this, absolutely vertical, going from 6 to midnight here. RSI 85.53. Glenn here does great technical work for our group. We absolutely love it. Glenn, Palantir has consolidated on its fibs for 5 to 10 days at each level. Now it's on day 6 at the fib level of 1.414. Next up is the 1.618 at 69.14. So Glenn, we're only 2 points away from that, 2 points and change away from that level there. We'll see where that goes. Really good stuff here. Glenn, you've done a great job staying on top of some of these names. Okay. All right. We're getting into some questions here about Sava. Let's take a look at Sava here. This one was not on my list, but it looks like some stuff's going on here with Sava. I'm going to get off the monthly chart here. We're going to go back to a daily. We'll break this down like a fraction here. Cassava Sciences shares are trading lower after the company announced Simullium. I probably butchered that. Simufilium. One of its drugs, okay, folks, did not show significant reduction in cognitive or functional decline versus placebo in patients with mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease in the Rethink ALZ phase 3 study. That sounds terrible. Right? That is pretty much the entire story for this drug was going to be its Alzheimer's drug. Now we're getting, I'm going to quote them so I don't screw this up. Did not show a significant reduction in cognitive or functional decline versus placebo. So frankly, the drug don't work. The drug don't work. Phase 3 failure. And look what's happening here. Minus 86.3% here. If you take a look at the pre-market, if you take a look at the 1 minute chart, this thing fell from $26 to $3. I sure hope that a lot of our group isn't on this or isn't long on this. If you're short on this, you are probably having the Thanksgiving to remember for you and your family here. But this is We have actually talked a lot about this on the show. We've talked a lot about Sava. We've talked a lot about this being a battleground stock. 13 and I have talked about how there, at one point there was an argument on the internet. This stock's going to save a bunch of people and be worth hundreds of dollars versus this stock's a fraud and nothing's going to happen. Well, the data here, not good data. I didn't have a horse in this race. This was not I didn't, or research this or really kind of participate in this back and forth. But now phase 3 negative data, and oh my, stock is getting absolutely crushed here. As far as a trade goes, first of all, again, if you're short, be sure to pay yourself here today. I don't think there's really any point in waiting for the other 3 points here. Maybe do it with the trailer. But there also might be a dead cat bounce. So sometimes you'll see with stocks that are going bankrupt or stocks that have poor data, sometimes they just bounce because they get absolutely shellacked. At this point, that's what I'd be looking at for here on Sava. But frankly, I think that there are probably other trades that are a little bit better for us to take. That's what's going on here with Sava. Was Sava removed from Robinhood? Looks like you can't trade it. Go Steve D. This is a good question. This I don't know. I don't have a Robinhood account, so I cannot confirm or deny that. I know we do have several folks in here that have Robinhood accounts. So if you could confirm that here for Steve, that'd be great. I don't think it would be removed. The stock's still trading, so I'm not sure why that would be the case, Steve. But oh Lord, if that is the case. Tom here. I like that pivot and escape from saying one of the drugs. Tom, we do what we got to do here. Let's be honest, all right? I do my best to read here. I'm the son of 2 teachers, but look, occasionally we get across some of these names here and we just got to bail on it. I'm gonna do whatever I can. At least it made you laugh. Okay, so it looks like Sava is tradable on Robinhood. Okay, that would make sense here to me. I'm not going to trade this one here today. I'm sure we'll take a look at this. I'm sure the relative volume scanner will pick up different moves with this, but Lord have mercy, this thing absolutely getting pummeled here on the phase 3 data. So yikes, and more yikes. I know, like I had mentioned, this was a big kind of an internet battleground stock. So I'm sure we're going to have some back and forth going on the Twitter streets here today. But that's what's going on with Sava. Okay, Chris is saying, I'll definitely grab 100 shares of Sava at $3 if I can find some room in the portfolio. Chris, I don't want to speak for you, but I think I know why you're doing this here, so correct me if I'm wrong. Chris thinking here, maybe there's some update, maybe they say something else that kind of has this bounce or retrace, and at this point, with the stock down 86%, you're taking kind of a small risk here, only getting 100 shares of a $3 stock. So it looks like you're just kind of playing for a potential bounce back right there. While I don't advise that, I understand exactly what you're doing here, and maybe that works. Like I said, some of these stocks bounce. You already got that, producer. You already got me given the oh Lord for Sava. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens throughout the course of the day here. Okay, yikes on Sava. Next one I wanted to take a look at here was going to be Snow. Mostly because we looked at this as a group last week. And actually, let me make sure that I've got all of my affairs in order here. Okay, Snow. This was one last week that we took a look at. This was a big move on earnings. It did a really good job. It took a leg higher the next day, did a really good job holding it. And now here, Snowflake shares trading higher after Wedbush upgraded the stock from neutral to outperform. So it looks like the good news here continues for Snow as we actually get an upgrade from Wedbush in addition to the price target. Before, when we took a look at this, I think we just got price targets, right? Yeah, we got a slew of price target re-ratings, but we really didn't get any upgrades. Now, finally, we are getting the upgrade. So if we take a look at the chart here, let's go out to a daily chart and let's see where we are at. So again, the big news here, or the big importance here with the earnings move is that we really kind of came off this bottom that looks to be confirmed at this point. And now we really busted through several of these moving averages. That's really, really good. Stock here is 174.19 in the pre-market. That has us just under the high right here. Okay, right here. So this high here, let's actually get an exact value for you. This high of 178.70 is definitely going to be the upside target. One of the other things that I had mentioned to you last week is a potential floating island if this were to come back in towards that 161 level. Given the upgrade here today, sure looks like this stock wants to go north, so we might not have that set up. But I'm still going to be watching this. I'm still going to be watching this. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use Benzinga Pro to give me a price below 162. Alert me if snow drops beneath 162, because if it does, we might have to take a look at that floating island trade. So there we go. Thank you, Benzinga Pro, for the price alert. Again, though, just to reiterate, sorry if I'm kind of rambling here, just to reiterate, 178.70, the upside level to watch here today on snow. Okay, one of the other stocks that you folks, I think this was White Chocolate Mocha, saying that you were looking at Run here today. So you're looking at, this is a solar name here, Sunrun. Now, the one thing I will say here with a lot of these solar names, if interest rates continue to move down, this should be good for solar as a theme. I know it's a lot of people kind of sold solar names when Trump won. We'll see where that ends up going, though. The reality here, solar is rate driven. When rates are lower, solar is more likely to be installed, and these companies should perform better. Now, the good news here, White Chocolate Mocha, is it sure does look like you've kind of found a bottom here. 950 seems to be that bottom. This actually goes back all the way towards, actually, this other bottom here was at 9, all the way back in 2023. It does look like we've come off that bottom a little bit here. RSI is not in oversold, but it's at really kind of the low end of the range there. So good stuff here. And again, this is going to be rate dependent. So we'll see what happens with the Fed and with some of those rate cuts. I will say it does look like you're looking at this at a decent spot. As opposed to chasing a stock moving to the upside, you're instead waiting till the stock is at support. I think that's very, very smart. So we'll see here if Run gets going. I don't think I saw it. Oh, we did. Oh, no, this was from Friday. I was going to say, I didn't think we saw any news here today. Piper downgraded Sunrun to neutral and lowered the price target to 11. That was on Friday. The one thing that I will say here on this is that if you get news like that, and this goes for any stock, not just Run or not just solar stocks, but if you get negative news like price target adjustments and downgrades and things like that, and the stock really doesn't sell off anymore, you're probably at or near a bottom. And that's sure what it looks like here for Sunrun. Ticker RUN. So I think this is really good timing, White Chocolate Mocha. It's too early to say if the trade is going to work here, but this is a pretty good spot for this. Okay. Next one you want to take a look at here was F. That's going to be ticker Ford. Looks like you're picking some of the slower movers here. Ford at the bottom end of its channel. In fact, this parallel channel, let me see if I can get this back on here real quick. Parallel channel. We want to do that all the way from here. Kind of want to do this. Here is your parallel channel. We are at the lower end of the range here on Ford. The one thing to keep in mind here, or the one thing to watch here on Ford, is going to be this 200-day, right? If we can really get above this 200-day, maybe we can have some more of these tradable spikes or tradable moves to the upside. And if you use the channel here, this should actually give you a pretty decent price target and what to expect for that trade. But we're still just in the sideways range here on Ford. We've been in this since what? July of 2022. So really nothing new going on here. I didn't think there was any news. Yeah, no real news here on ticker F either. Okay. Okay, you guys are talking about snow. I like the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Jay Harris, I don't really know what that is. Let's see. Snow is going to be higher. Raheel, it sure looks like that. We'll see if that ends up going. Robert, you're mentioning a couple of tickers here. What's going on? Give me some context on that instead of just the tickers on their own. Let me keep running through some of these lists. The last one, White Chocolate Mocha, wanted to take a look at was going to be P10, not P10, P10. This is Patterson, right? Patterson, UTI Energy here. Sorry, this is not a stock that I follow at all. I'm not even sure what this does. Largest land rig drilling contractors in the United States. Yeah, I don't have anything on this one. I'd rather just tell you I don't know instead of taking a guess here. It looks like it's got pretty good coverage, and it actually looks like this is kind of curling back up off the bottom. So the targets that I would use here for trades are basically just some of these moving averages, maybe some of these former highs. 960 in there. Sorry, not very familiar with this white chocolate mocha. We'll have to look a little bit more into this. The next one that everyone wanted to take a look at, and I know everyone likes this one. This is SMCI. And big shout out to our traders here on this group. Our traders here have really kind of been on this, whether it was trading this to the downside after the accounting issues and the cooked books and all of that stuff, to really kind of picking the bottom and trading it to the upside. Big shout out to Big Bees, who's in here every single day. He's been calling out trades on this that have been quite good, really, since we put in this bottom here at 18. I remember our group was looking, I think, from 15 to 17 for a potential long side trade. We didn't quite get there. We did get into the 17 handle, so got to the top end of the range there. Never quite printed 15. This is bouncing here, though. Does look like the next upside spot is going to be at about 38 bucks. That's going to be your 50-day moving average. And then mind the gap here at about that level, $38 up to $47. We do have a pretty decent sized gap. Your 500-day is going to be in there at about 41 bucks, but definitely some more room per the chart to the upside here on SMCI. Chris here is saying, I can barely see your chart, Ryan, but it looks like SMCI needs to fill the gap. Okay, good feedback here, Chris. Let me try and zoom in, because you are exactly right. The gap here is the gap. I don't know how you folks measure gaps, how you think about gaps, if it's the body or the wick that you're looking at, but the wick of this candle here, high is going to be $38. That level really seems to be important. That's also going to mix with the 50-day moving average. A move above that level, this is a gap fill up to what? Let's call it the low here, 46.75. 46.75. Okay. Felipe, appreciate you. Definitely smash up the like for us. That really helps us. It really helps tell the group around here that we're doing stuff that is helpful for you. So appreciate you, Felipe. And listen to Felipe, smash up that like, hit that subscribe button, get notified when we are going live here. Okay, so SMCI, I'll tell you what, this has definitely more room to the upside. We just talked about the gap, some of the moving averages here, but a look at the RSI, we're basically in no man's land here after really being oversold for some time. So not a terrible spot. This is something that I would kind of consider a trade. I certainly wouldn't get married to this stock. Those accounting issues and all of that stuff is not totally out of the way, but so far the action here pretty good on SMCI. So let's see if we take out that $38 level. That's going to be the big one to watch here today. Big one to watch here today. Okay, Disney, I think 3D wanted to take a look at Disney here. Disney, this actually also showing some strength. So we talked about this formation recently. Again, just kind of linking this back to the floating island here. And sorry, I got distracted there. It looks like the market is popping here into the 9 o'clock hour. At SPY here trading up 599.47. S&P futures now up over 0.5% at 0.6%. Dow futures up 0.8%, and NASDAQ here up 0.75%. All of those trading to the upside, a little bit of a volume pop there. So futures look to flash a little bit more green arrows here ahead of the open. Giddy up. That's going to be good for pretty much all of the trades that I have on. So fingers crossed. I know I've kind of been bearish overall, but if you can't beat them, join them. And given what we've seen here, we're likely to go up. So looks like the market is telling us that a little bit here as well. Looking back at Disney here, just kind of tying this to the floating island formation. Do you see how when you have this break to a new area, oftentimes the price will try and pull back? Okay, so again, I generally want to look for this to hold the low end of the candle. In this case at Disney, it was 109. We pulled back here to 111. So it did make it a little bit more difficult, but still, after that pullback, we returned back to the high end of the candle. And in this case, we've actually gone higher here on Disney. This exact type of price action is what we're trying to capture with floating islands. So it looks like this did, although it's a little bit difficult here because it's not as clean, it did end up working here on Disney. Now, where we're at now, you can see if we go back to March, so earlier this year, we had a pretty unreal head and shoulders here. You had the left shoulder right here, you had the head right here, and you had the right shoulder right here. And boy, oh boy, this thing broke down from that area here all the way down to 80. So this went from 115 all the way down to what, 80 and change. Looks like it's bottomed out there. We had some news about, I think, a passive stake or something like that, some type of activist investor in here. Now we're having a pretty good pop. This was on earnings, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look here at that recent earnings. That was on November 14th. So, yep, that was right in here. This pop was on earnings. Honestly, if we can pop above 116 here on Disney, I do think this thing can trade up towards this recent high here at 123.73. All right. So I do think this can kind of move back up. We shall see on Disney. 3D, let me know, are you long this trade? Are you looking to get in this trade? I can't remember what your position is. Maybe you never even told me, but remind me here, what are you looking at here on Disney? It looks, at least right now, it looks like this wants to kind of trade back up. Long. Okay, so you are long right now. Well, awesome. Hopefully you get a breakout here and you're able to pay yourself on the way up. What kind of price target do you have for the exit? Is it an investment? Is it a swing trade? I do think 124 here is absolutely possible. Really good stuff there on Disney. And you know what, 3D, we should probably also ask 13 about Disney. He's got kids. He follows the stock. He's traded the stock really, really well, both to the upside and the downside. So maybe we should get his opinion on it as well. Okay, so you have an investment and you want to sell it. Okay, interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, this does have a pretty good move off the bottom, and it looks like this wants to try and trade higher. If the market is cooperative here for the rest of the year, like we're kind of thinking it might be, might actually have a little bit more room to the upside here on Disney. I'll try and get you some price targets from 13 when he shows up. Good stuff, though. Good stuff there here. Okay, so that is okay, Apple was the last one. Someone wanted to take a look at Apple here. Apple's having a pretty decent pre-market. The big thing here on Apple is really going to be this double top high here, right? 237. Apple is clearly looked at as the safety trade with some of the Mag 7 names here. I would imagine if the retail season is good going into the holidays, that should be a boon for Apple. That should really help Apple. I know we've got news recently about the phone not being as popular in China. The channel checks showing that the demand is not all that great, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you what, every time that those have happened, the stock has ended up going higher, and it sure looks like this might tease a breakout here at 238. This one for me has, I hate to even admit this, but it's the truth. This has really moved to into like the whole Cramer situation. Cramer used to get on CNBC all the time and said, look, with Apple, own it, don't trade it. Own it, don't trade it. And honestly, over the years, I mean, again, I bought this for an investment in 2014. My cost adjusted basis on this is like $20 now. So I am definitely not looking to sell any of my shares. But what I did do was trade options around my core position. Kind of moved away from that now. And this has kind of moved more into the just kind of own it, don't trade it here. I will say if we really tease this 237 double top breakout, I will absolutely put a few shekels on some calls looking for an upside move here without a doubt. So this is probably the safer name of some of these other names. This is not going to be immune to a market pull. So if the market really kind of pulls back, I would imagine Apple kind of comes back in again. If Apple comes anywhere near that 200-day, I'd be inclined to buy some more of it down there, or at least maybe trade that with some options. All right. It's about 9 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and bring on 13. 13, happy Monday. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay.
Okay.
It's it's Monday. Woke up with a little case of the Mondays, but shaking it off. Let's get to trading. How's it going this morning?
Okay, well, I'm going to help you shake it off, and we're not going to do it in the Taylor Swift fashion. We're going to do it in the market fashion here. Here's the thing. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year. for a number of reasons. Number one, because Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays of the year. But number two, because this week often provides a bunch of different opportunities and some wild stuff. So what I'm going to need you to do is shake off the case of the Mondays, turn that frown upside down, and we are going to make some money here for the group. So good to have you here. The one thing I did want to start off with, just because I don't want to forget, right before you got here, we were breaking down ticker DIS, Disney, for 3D here in the chat. And I said that I really kind of wanted to get your opinion technically on this. I was outlining that I do think that the recent bottom is in. I outlined that as long as the market remains cooperative, this likely has some more upside here, despite the RSI being totally overcooked. I outlined how we had a pretty amazing recent head and shoulders formation back at the beginning of this year that the stock broke down from and is now resolved from. And I outlined that recently here, we have a bullish formation on the daily that really kind of shows this wants to go higher and maybe test some of those levels. 3D here was saying she is long, it is an investment, and she wants to sell it. So my question here is, although you cannot advise members on what to do, what do you see in the charts technically here for Disney?
Well, I see we finally got over this trend line that we've had, well, I've had on this chart for probably a few years now. If you start with the peaks that we had in March of 21 and September of 21, and just draw a line through those all the way down through the high from April of this year, you'll see that we've recently broken out over that trend line. There you go, just like that. So one thing that I'd be I'd be watching for with this, especially since we're pretty extended up here, is a back test of that trend line. So I expect the price will, at some point relatively soon, will come down and find support from that trend line, maybe consolidate down there, and then reverse and go move up back off of it. So that's one thing for me. Another thing is that, and I have a little bit of a hard time with this formation. It seems like we might be getting a inverse head and shoulders on the daily chart over a long period of time, with the left shoulder having formed just at the end of 22, the head in about October of 23, and then the right shoulder we just formed in August and September of this year. So if this is going to be an inverse head and shoulder, which it kind of looks like, but I just have a lot of big question marks regarding the left shoulder. But if it is, the neckline should be at about 118, somewhere about 118 to 120. And that would be the next level to watch for a breakout if this is going to be an inverse head and shoulders that resolves to the upside. So ideally, what we'll get from here is a back test of that trend line, and then a breakout above that neckline around somewhere between 118 and 120. That's what I would look for in this. But it looks like it's setting up to go higher.
Okay, really good stuff. So at the end of the day, you and I kind of see this chart the same.
Yeah.
It does look like the first near-term move is that this is set up to go higher. Kudos to you on this inverse head and shoulders, because that's not something that I had picked up on earlier, but really good stuff.
And it's inverse head and shoulder in quotes, because I'm still on the fence about whether or not that left shoulder looks good enough or not. But I think that trend line is much more telling. And I think that's something better that we should look at more closely instead of the inverse head and shoulders. I want to see a back test of that trend line and then a reversal off of it. That would be the next move.
Okay, awesome. 3D, there you go. Awesome stuff. Okay, 13, I intentionally saved the entire movers list for when you showed up here, because I don't know if you've checked it out, but quantum computing is a theme that we traded last week, and it is back on seemingly no news here this week. So it looks like we've got some momentum. I haven't covered any of those, but I did really quickly want to mention Sava here. I don't know if you've taken a look at this. We talked about this right before you got on here. Sava had a very, very poor phase 3 data and is down 83% here. So I'm imagining that you're going to get we are going to get asked about this, or we are going to see this on the scanner here today. In fact, when we took a look at this, this was in a 380 or a 360 handle, and now it's at 432. So We were talking about this, really the only thing left here maybe being a potential bounce play, but this was a pretty big news headline here today, and it came at 7:30 here via a PR. So Sava, big battleground stock. You and I have talked about this for years at this point now. Absolutely slaughtered here today.
We might not have to talk about it much longer if this is where it's at. I mean, I'm not kidding. This could be the end of it at this point. This is absolutely horrible. I mean, maybe they'll get some more cash from some investor or somebody who thinks that they've got some kind of product in the pipeline that's worth investing in. But that is right back to almost the lows that the lowest low they've ever had. That's pretty close. So we're what? We're about $4 away, I guess, because 10 cents is about. Or what was the low? Do you have the low on this? Is it like 50 cents or $1?
Yeah, let me get that for you here. The intraday low here today.
Oh no, I was referring to like the all-time low, because that's where we're getting closer to now. We're much closer to that than we are from the all-time highs by a lot.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean,
yeah, there you go.
I think it's right in like here, isn't it? Right in here.
Well,
yeah, 76 cents.
Yeah, look for a bottom there.
Okay. Well,
I'm halfway being serious.
That exact level, but
I'm halfway being serious and I'm halfway not. I mean, this thing, ever since we talked about it in 2021, this thing has not been getting able to get back up to where it was, and the data just keeps getting worse and worse. But I agree. This will be a bounce play at some point. I don't think it'll happen today, but it should happen maybe this week, maybe tomorrow. I can't really say, but I agree that it'll be a bounce play because of how low the RSI is. Yep.
Yeah, just good morning. Stay focused. It's great to see you. That move is insane. Really quickly here, Ashan, do you have any suggestions on altcoins? So no, I don't, but I don't want to just kind of sweep your question under the rug here. I know we've got a bunch of different traders that might also trade some crypto in our community here. So call to arms here. Let's help Ashan out. If you folks have any altcoins you really like, throw them in the chat here and do us a favor. Explain why you like those altcoins. Don't just say SOL, to the moon, LOL, ROFL. Instead, give us something here why you like the altcoin that you like, and let's see if we can build a list up here for Ashan. Good question.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, good question there. Okay. What do we want to do next? We want to do those movers and just kind of knock them out of the way, and then we can kind of just do ticker time until the open here, I think. So why don't we do that? Fun. Okay. Why don't we do that?
Looks like Cooler is making some moves in the pre-market.
That one is on the list. That one is on the list. So, okay. Yeah. I'm going to start here with QMMM. This is a Hong Kong company, digital advertising. This is massive downside last week, and it looks sketchy. I would completely agree with that. Now, though, the one thing here is that we are ramping up here today on good volume, and this follows a day on Friday where we had a volume peak. So this is likely going to get hit with some relative volume plays here today. If we continue to back out, let me throw this on a 5-minute chart and back out here. You can kind of get some idea on some of these levels that we're looking at. This really kind of fell from $6. It did put in some near-term supports there at about $5.25, but it really did fall from $6. And now it looks like it might be curling back up. So sketch, to say the least. 8.9 million shares in the float. On average, it trades 1.3 million shares. Today, we've already traded almost 36 million shares. Short interest here, 3%, not a whole lot. Hong Kong company, what say you? Ticker QMMM.
Yeah, like you said, relative volume. I think that's what we're moving on here. 8.95 million shares in the float. Looks like a junk company to me. Couldn't get a real view on their financials that much. Looks like they have a tiny bit of cash. I don't know how much they burn. The thing I'd be curious to see is if this can get back up to 4. I think that's where when it IPO'd back in, it looks like July, it kind of went sideways along that $4 line before it started moving up and finally peaking out at 13. And then we're down here with the result after that. So I would be looking at $4 as a potential crazy here, Hail Mary, here comes the big volume move. That's where I would see it go to at $4. Has to get through 146. That was a level it was just recently rejected at not that long ago, actually just in this current candle. 160 is the pre-market high. So if we hold VWAP, look for that 146 to get taken out and then subsequently 160.
Okay. Real good stuff there. QMMM. Okay, before we break down the quantum angle, I also really quickly want to talk about Archer here because this has been a favorite for our group, and we've done really, especially you 13, we've done a really good job kind of covering this one and trading this one. Full disclosure here, I am all out as of the end of last week on Archer, so I actually held this thing. I bought a starter position that immediately went red on me. Like the day that I bought it, it went red on me. And then it continued to be red on me for months and months and months. And while it was doing that, I was slowly adding near the bottom. Now that stock has come back up, I've actually sold it for a gain. So although it wasn't a huge position for me, patience really ended up paying off here. But I have no position in this, and the stock is gapping up more here today, up 8.28% here. Was actually higher as this broke above 660 earlier today. I didn't see any news on this. Yeah, nothing new here. No new news here on Archer. Just looks like some continuation from a very positive week last week. Do you have any thoughts here on Archer? And Izzy was asking, are we looking for Archer or Joby here today? For comparison's sake, let me pull Joby up here. Up, not quite as much, although it did move out of the open. What say you here, Archer, Joby?
I think this is just a continuation. That it's these air mobility stocks are starting to get pretty hot. With we're seeing movement in not just Archer but Joby and EHang and some of the other ones. But I think we're getting a combination of that. The interest rates are dropping, so these small caps that have been beaten up, Archer, for example, that doesn't have revenue yet, and kind of relies on those rates for the time being. They're going to do well. And also, you have a high short interest. This one with 25.4% of the float shorted, 4.5 days to cover. So we're seeing a continuation of the squeezing as well. So it's those three things. The theme, the hotness of the theme, the short interest, and the other one I just mentioned. All those three things together are helping lift this stock up higher. Very extended here. Be careful if you're going to trade this. Don't hold it right up here because I think it's going to come back in. It has to. The RSI is completely overcooked. So this would be just a day trade only until we get some more of that cooling.
Fun fact here, I was just telling you about how I bought that initial starter position on Archer, and it went straight down from there. I believe my first ever buy was right around 670. So we're 15 cents away from that level here. So I've seen this happen before. I'm with you as far as the chart goes. Really kind of needs a pullback. So instead of actually chasing and adding after this big up move, I'm going to wait this one out. If I miss it, I miss it. The one thing that also is kind of playing along with these, we've seen really good performance from the IWM amidst the rate cutting cycle that we're in. And IWM sure looks like that actually wants to break out. That chart looked great. And we might have that November small cap surge that leads into the Santa rally. So some of these stocks might be pretty good here. Archer might be one of those. I'm okay being out of this one. I was underwater on it for so long to finally be able to put some profit in my pocket. I got patience. I got patience on this one now as well. And RX here mentioning something really good. Archer is hot on social media. I can confirm this. I'm seeing this myself, just like what RX is saying here. So I'm with you there. It's likely going to be in play as long as that's the case.
Yeah. So with that in mind, this could just be the beginning. 2025 could be a very good year for Archer and these other air mobility stocks. Just like I think 2025 is going to be great for all the space plays. So I think we're just seeing the beginnings here. It's kind of waking up. Let's let it cool off a little bit, and we'll get some better opportunities to add lower and make some longer term plays out of this. Because I do think Archer is going to be one of these names that ends up being something really big with their air mobility.
Okay. Really, really good stuff there, 13 on Archer. Okay, let's keep looking at stuff here. Next on the list here is going to be wearable devices. This is ticker WLDS. We've definitely traded this one before. I think there was an Apple angle that we traded on one of these PRs a while ago on WLDS. Let's see. Was there any news here this morning? No, nothing fresh. What's that?
Arval.
Yeah, nothing fresh here on the news. Look, I mean, and Arval here, here's the thing. Like, this doesn't even really look like the volume. There was this one volume spike on Friday, And that was pretty much it. So if that's really what's kind of juicing this here today, the bigger move might be setting up here for today. This is kind of all I'm seeing here. 2% of its float shorted as far as the share structure here. Not, just under 1 million shares in the float. Probably why it's moving. You got anything else on this one, 13?
Yeah, they have, so like you said, 992,000 shares in the float, 3 million in the bank. I don't have a read on what their income statements look like, but they also did a 1 for 20 reverse split on October 10th. So that's the reason why we have such a small float structure right now. Looks like they also, let me just make sure this is updated. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, make sure I have a correct read on their short interest. I don't think it was anything significant. Yeah, 2.18 of the float is shorted. And because they recently did the reverse split, it's going to have that only 1 day to cover. So that's all I have.
Sorry. I was sending another message here. I'm trying to do too much yet again. Okay, VSTE. This is Vast Renewables. The next one here on the movers list here. Vast shares are trading higher after the company signed an updated funding agreement to access up to 30 million of its $65 million grant from the Australian Renewable Energy Agency. So this is good news. It looks like it's trying to tap itself to get some more money without diluting its shares. So you really would love to see that here. This moving up, this up 55% here. It's close to about $1.65 on Friday. We actually almost printed 3 here this morning. The formation looks good. The volume looks good. Short interest here, 33% there. Was there a recent reverse split? Nope. I don't show one here.
Nope.
Wow. So it looks like there's some short interest here. VSTE. What say you, 13?
Well, when I look at the daily chart right now, it's trying to get above that 200-day SMA. So that might actually, it's just above it now. So that might be a level to watch for, which I currently have at 252. I have to look at a smaller time frame to see what else I can draw from this. But yeah, that's got a 2 million share float. The short interest on that, it's going to be a little bit wonky, but it's going to result in a high short interest as a result of the float being so small and only 1 day to cover, but 33% of the float shorted. I don't see, wait, hold on, let me take a look at their financials. I haven't looked at that yet. Don't have a read on that. It seems like they have 11 million in the bank, but don't know what their income statement's about. That's all I really got on this one. Just looks like a bit of a short squeeze here to go with that grant news.
Okay, real quick here. Intel is popping. Jay Rice, good morning. What did you miss? Oh, boy. You missed quite a bit, actually. This has been kind of an interesting morning here so far. I'm sure we'll cover it all. Really quickly here, one of the stories that I broke down right at the start of the show here was going to be for Intel. Intel's federal CHIPS grant shrinks below $8 billion as the Biden administration recalibrates the CHIPS Act funding. That was some of the news that we had here. But now, looks like maybe this was, I don't see anything fresh here. Intel spiking ahead of the open here. Looks like we're printing above 25. Stocks up 2.5% here. This is actually pretty good. This might set us up for a move above 26.5. That puts us in the gap that fills up to about 29. So we'll see what we get here on Intel. Just wanted to highlight that because we did mention that at the start of the show here. It looks like it's getting a nice little pop there on not a whole lot of volume. Not a whole lot of volume there. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the quantum computing move. Rigetti, going to be one of the first stocks here on the movers list. You guys should all be familiar with these stocks: QUBT, RGTI, QBTS, and then Cooler. We'll talk about those. Rigetti shares trading higher after the company completed $100 million at the market equity offering, with plans to use the proceeds for working capital, capital expenditures, and advancement in superconducting quantum computing technology. The market is absolutely rewarding this. Maybe this is on the back of small caps being in favor and strong right now. This popped as high as 260. Honestly, 13, just kind of looking at this chart here, 260 seems to be the level. That's your VWAP. That's the area where we're kind of consolidating here. What do you got here on Rigetti?
Yeah, the share structure on this is a little heavy. 168 million shares in the float. They have a couple of quarters of cash on the books. But they also have a almost a 15.5% short interest. So I think we're also seeing a little bit of a squeeze here too. Now we did get a price target raise from B. Riley from 350 to 4. So we may end up seeing some of that come into play too. What I really like about what we're seeing here on the on a smaller time frame, like a 5-minute chart, is that we are setting up to take out 280, which is the pre-market high. So if we can continue to hold this VWAP here and make our way back above, let's call it 268, we should be able to try and take out that pre-market high. Let me see if I can find some levels after that, aside from just 4. Maybe 363 could be a potential level. 363 and 472 if we get above 4, but 363 looks like the going to be the first stop here if we get some of that upside movement.
Okay, Rigetti here. This stock up 50.5%. Really good breakdown there. 13. Next here on the list, QMCO. The name of the company is Quantum Corporation. Is stock up here 40%. Again, on no news, at least this, still no news in here. Short interest a little bit higher here, about 6% with about 3 days to cover. We did have recent insider grant activity in October, but nothing in terms of purchases on the open market here. Financials, this stock loses a ton of money per quarter, 15 million per quarter. They got about 1 quarter left. They're going to need to figure out something here. And then the share structure here, 3.4 million shares in the float, right in our butter zone. What do you got here? QMCO. Looks like this is a newer, quote unquote, newer quantum name to the group here. Obviously had a huge day on Friday.
Yeah, I think that, and I think that's the reason why it's moving, is because it's another R-ball play, basically. So we're getting and I don't know if I have to take a look at this 5-minute chart real quick to see where it ended up, but it seems like it wants to test that 500-day SMA, which I currently have at 1332. I think it may have already hit that. Actually, yes, it already did. So that 500-day SMA, that I think could end up being a level to watch for in the regular session today. It might just push the price right back underneath there. That's one level to watch for. Also, keep in mind that this is very extended here. The daily RSI is 83.86. So I don't know how much we'll get out of this, but I would think that at some point today, maybe at the open or maybe later on, this comes back down, as this is very extended here. Now the float is almost 3.5 million shares, so very easy to move around, which means that it could continue to rise up very quickly, but at some point, I think it will come back in, and when it does, that could also be very quick as well.
Okay, real good stuff there. I'm going to stick with the quantum theme. I'm going to go to QBTS next. Again, these are all just kind of in the same theme here. D-Wave Quantum shares trading higher after Amazon Web Services announced a Quantum Embark program. Excuse me. So this one actually does have some news here today. Stock's up 18.5%. You got anything here on QBTS? This is one that this group has traded a number of times here recently. Real quickly, while I clicked over here, this one higher short interest than what we've seen in some of these other names here, about 12.5%, 1.62 days to cover. Sorry, 13. You got anything here on QBTS?
Well, shout out to Carmen for putting this on my radar. I had some great trades on this one earlier this month, and I think last month too. This one also getting a new price target raise from B. Riley. So B. Riley's on the quantum plays this morning, giving price targets out like it's Christmas already. And we have a company here that still is losing about $22 million a quarter, which means their current cash balance of just under 30 million shares is going to need to find some more friends. So they could do an offering here at some point. The float already at 152 million shares, unless they get some kind of funding like a grant or private placement. Short interest is almost 12.5%, but because of the small size, because of the I guess because of the size of the float, it's only a day and a half to cover. I'm not sure why that calculation is off, but it is what it is. I don't think I think we are getting a little bit of a squeeze here with this one, since this has been shorted for so long. But that's about all I got with QBTS. These quantum stocks are hot.
Yeah, they sure are. And we've, like I said, our group's been looking at these for a while. Looks like the entire basket here is moving. The other one, QUBT, is the only other one that we haven't covered. Again, the Amazon Web Services Quantum Embark program likely leading to this. This one also up here about 720. Looks like we have a double top pre-market high at 750. We'll see if that ends up falling here. But that's kind of what's going on with this as well. Did you want to cover anything here on QUBT? We move along?
I already took a look at. I don't think there's anything else I have on QUBT. I did want to. I don't know if you did it this morning, but I did want to kind of mention some of the economic news that's happening this week.
Yeah, I did. So just to kind of recap here real quick, okay. I'll let you speak about all of them. We have a few treasury bill auctions ending today. The 3-month, the 6-month, and the 2-year probably is not going to move the market. Tuesday, we have the consumer sentiment. That should be interesting given some of the retailer earnings that we've seen, as well as coming up to the holidays here. But Wednesday is the big day, and kudos to you because you outlined this last week. We have core PCE data and the jobless claims coming on Wednesday.
Yeah, so on So those things, the other ones I wanted to mention for Tuesday, tomorrow, we also have building permits and new home sales.
Thank you.
And that's not all. We also get FOMC meeting minutes, Redbook, and consumer confidence. Now, Redbook and consumer confidence, I'm not really, worried about as much. But those other three, the building permits, new home sales, and FOMC meeting minutes, I feel like we might see some market movement off of that in this truncated week. So there's something to watch for when those come out. And then as far as Wednesday goes, the PCE is going to be the big one with the jobless claims. They also have GDP coming out that day as well, and the mortgage indexes or indices.
Chris asking, who's the bond auction guy on CNBC? It's, of course, Rick Santelli, my Chicago brethren here who loves to yell and get all worked up. Sure, his heart doctor probably has a pretty good living with all that stuff. But anyway, okay. Real quickly here, I saw that you folks were mentioning PDYN. This is another one that we traded last week. This is Paladine AI. This had a really good day on Friday. Looks like this is gapping up here. Again, this is probably relative volume. Didn't see any new news here. Nope. On PDYN, this is a good call from our group. So this is likely going to be in play here again.
Our cat was up too.
Our cat was up again. I was going to say, let's check in on our cat. This has been a humongous winner here. It looks like we might be testing double digits pretty here soon on our cat. And then a quick look across the board here at the market. I know we're 8 minutes till we open here. S&P futures continuing to hold higher here, 0.75% to the upside. Dow futures up 0.9%, and the NASDAQ also up 0.9%, almost a full percent here in the pre-market. So green arrows across the board. We're actually looking a little bit stronger right ahead of the open. See also what this does here today. Yeah.
Also green are a lot of those space stocks. Rocket Lab kind of leading the way this morning, followed by Lunar. Rocket Lab had news. They had back-to-back satellite launches over the weekend. This is one of the things I was referring to, how they can, and it's all in that that write-up that I did about how they can really, have a quick turnaround with their launches out of their private spaceport in New Zealand. Rocket Lab is going to be something special next year, I think, but it's very extended. Overvalued as well. I think some of these names need to kind of reset a little bit, come back in, but when they do, I think we should be taking a closer look because this is going to be a hot theme.
Thinking about it, saying, remember, PYDN, is going because of the partnership with Arcat and AI in the name. That's normally all it takes right now. Okay.
Nice, Carmen. Just hand him that wad of cash.
What happened?
She's going to buy a new vehicle.
All right. Just bring in a briefcase, handcuffed to your wrist. That's what I like to do when I go to the car dealership. Let them know I mean business right from the get-go. That's how you do it right there. Okay, really quickly here, just to kind of mention SRRK, Scholar Rock Holdings. The stock is up 37%, closed at about $30, printing 41 here in the pre-market. I don't have anything. I mean, Scholar Rock reports new employee. This is from November 15th. I don't have anything going on here with Scholar Rock. So you folks will have to let me know.
It's a short squeeze.
Okay.
Big one too, probably.
Yeah, this is a big one.
They also had earnings last week. They got price target raises to 40. Where are we at now?
41.
We're past that now. So who cares about
we
that?
go to those price targets
Yeah.
targets awfully quick now. Excuse me.
We have a price target of. Hold on, let me see where we're at. Never mind.
Right where it's at.
Yeah. That's kind of been the whole thing with this, is that every time it gets a price target, it ends up going to, which is why I'm thinking that we need to keep an eye on those B. Riley price targets and those quantum names. 50 million shares in the float, so kind of in that space where it's too heavy and just where we're looking for. But I think that short squeeze, that short interest is why we're moving here today. Let me take a look at this price action in the smaller time frame here. See if we can get some levels. Oh, that was a nice breakout. I don't have anything right off the bat. It looks like it needs to. So 4140 is the pre-market high. So that's going to be one level to watch for. Looks like on October 5th, or I'm sorry, 9th or 8th, somewhere in there. It looks like the 7th and 8th. Sorry. There was some kind of news this thing had, and it popped up to 35.38 when it was down under $10 previously. So we have a floating island here on this one, an SRRK, one of Ryan's
priced.
favorite.
Yeah, here we go. Scott, this is on the news for Wednesday, October 9th. Scholars Rock prices upsized $300 million public offering of 10.2 million shares at $28.25 per share in a pre-funded warrant deal.
Yeah, I think I really like the way this daily chart looks. So you bring up a daily chart, I think you'll see what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, so this really did kind of hold the end of that candle. We've talked a lot about some of these island formations recently.
That's a great formation. I think we could even draw a trend line from that high through some of the through the high of November 6th and see that we're kind of breaking out over that trend. If you have a MACD turned on, you can see that that's kind of curling to the upside. There's a lot to like about this daily chart. This looks like we're going to be going higher here. Let me take a look and see what kind of upside levels we can find with this.
This will for sure be one to watch here today.
Oh,
especially if we keep going.
Okay. So we're kind of in a consolidation channel back from 2021. Looks like 40, just above 42, like somewhere in about 42.50. There could be resistance. Lots of levels within the 40 handle. But let's say if it can get above 45, actually scratch that. 45 looks like it's going to be a big resistance level, somewhere between 45 and 46. Based on the price action from February of 2021 and August of 2021.
Okay.
Interesting. 6 months apart, and they went from that specific level being a support to a resistance.
Indeed. Okay, next here, we were running out of time here real quick.
Yep.
B-Bio, this is another one with a big piece of news here. BridgeBio Pharma shares trading higher. The company announced that the FDA approved Aterbi, much easier to pronounce that drug, to treat adults with ATTR-CM. Also, H.C. Wainwright maintained a buy rating, moved the price target from 43 to 49. You can see the stock was $23 on Friday. Here we are up about $28, $29. So BBIO, BridgeBio Pharma, popping higher here. Pretty interesting. This actually popped above. Actually, let me go to my other chart here that's got some of my different moving averages on it, and we can take a look at that. Here is BBio popping us above the 200-day. Let's see what this one goes next. BBIO on deck here today.
Looks like pre-market high is $30. First attempt couldn't break through it. So that was about an hour after it popped up to $30. So as long as we can hold VWAP and go higher out of the open, $30 is going to be the breakout level on this one.
Okay, really good stuff. And then we'll close it off here with Tesla, ticker TSLA. This also up 2.5% here in the pre-market. Here's your daily chart. This looks like this does want to kind of break out and push higher. We do have some other levels here, 385, 400, and then maybe 414 here on the upside. As far as news goes, I didn't see anything in here. Gary Black defends Tesla trim at 351. No one ever went broke taking a profit. That's not a piece of news in here. Tesla Rivian signed signal end to 4-year legal battle over alleged trade secrets theft. Not sure that would have an effect on the price. Trump's Commerce Secretary pick, Howard Lutnick. The fund owns 1.19 billion in Nvidia and 804 million in Tesla. So if you think that that's all going to go together, maybe that's why it's trading up here today. Elon Musk, Tesla hunts top talent to develop software for its robo-taxi and Optimus robot teleoperation. There we go. And some news about Doge in there.
I mean, I like this. How much time do we have? 10 seconds.
Not much.
Seconds. Okay, so real quick on Tesla, I like the 385 level, but to me, it looks like this thing is still needing to cool off. RSI is still extended past 71. MACD looks like it's about to roll over. It could get to 385, but I think this thing is going to end up coming back in because of the way those other indicators look. And we're open.
We are open, folks. Let me flip over to my main workspace and let's watch this open here.
So watching QMMM, WLDS, QMMM, Q3M. How about that? WLDS and RGTI. Those will be ones to be watching. Q3M pushing up here. Remember, 160 is the pre-market high. It's got to try to get beyond this 150 level here. WLDS, we'll call that one Wilds. That one's getting support from the 65 EMA. Rigetti, this one looks like it's trying to push up and go higher. 280 is the spot that needs to get over. But remember, I think Rigetti has the, this one has a pretty hefty float. So this one might be hard to push up because of that size.
QMCO popping out of the gate here.
Q3M halted to the upside.
Okay.
Pianogenesis asking about cooler. 63 cents. My experience with this one, and I hope this one continues to perform pretty well. It's over the 500-day estimate for the first time since November of 22. But this has been getting a lot of good contracts, a lot of news lately. Unfortunately, the thing about this is that the float is really heavy, almost 200 million shares. This thing needs a reverse split. That would be absolutely great for this company. So one day when this announces they're going to do a reverse split, watch this company, get ready to. I think this is going to be a good company in the long term. But I think if you're looking for a longer term trade in this one, I would wait for that reverse split. I would much rather pick it up after that.
Okay.
All right, PDYN. Just
I was going to say this trading up right out of the open.
Yep.
Rigetti is holding its VWAP so far.
QMCO broke those pre-market highs. 1560 is now where it's at, or is the now intraday high? Gosh, look at cooler go. This thing could potentially rip to $1 and then turn around.
Leslie's popping here right off the open, ticker LESL. 350 looks to be your spot there on Leslie's.
Leslie's pool supply?
Yeah, I think that Leslie's Incorporated.
Didn't we talked about this
here? Yeah, Pool was the other one. Ticker POOL was the other one.
What was that news?
This was a Tim Melvin pick, wasn't it? Pretty sure this was a Melvin pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow,
we'll have to ask him. We'll have to ask him on Wednesday.
Look at cooler go, man. That thing is just tearing right now. Don't know where it's going to find that resistance, but I would think 90 cents might be the first stop since that's where it ran up to, I think, on earnings. And yes, Q3M is halted right now. Lunar, this one so this one went down out of the open, found some support around 530, trying to turn around and recapture VWAP. If that does, I'd be looking at 1620 as the breakout spot. 1625 is also the pre-market high.
RCAT, a little bit of a dip, but so far holding 9.
BBio, getting some upside movement here, looking to push through 30.
Indeed, dude.
All right.
Good start. All right, sold pod. Booking some of the gains on the ELF calls, plus 100%. Let's go. Paid $350 for those for sale here. $8.
No elf on his shelf, that's for sure.
No, well, there's gonna be lots of stuff going on. That was a really, really great trade there. bringing up some more money. Boom, boom, boom.
Thinking
Awesome
about it,
job right off that Benzinga Pro unusual option activity scan as well.
I like thinking about its comment here. Apparently, cooler heads are not prevailing.
Well done. Well done.
That joke approved.
Hey, look, you're gonna. I love getting those, so I'm gonna shout those out. I hate to break it to you.
I'm not saying I don't want them. Bring more.
There we go. There we go.
QMCO still putting in some new intraday highs here right out of the open. 1562 is now the current high. Did I get some levels for this one yet? Let me see if I can find some levels. That doesn't seem
Jay Rice mentioning MSTR, stock we have not taken a look at here yet today. MSTR, big red to green, right? Big green to red. Excuse me. I had that mixed up there. Big green to red on MSTR. Let me know if any of you folks are actively trading this MSTR. I'm out of it.
Well, isn't Bitcoin kind of having a
yeah, Bitcoin's pulling back here today. Yep.
Yeah, MACD on this one looks like Bitcoin needs to really cool off. So, gosh, I mean, I don't want to sound like a party poop or anything, but just don't be surprised if Bitcoin comes back under 90. In the process of cooling off.
Real quick here, Archer going for that $7 handle, 688 right now on Archer.
Get it.
B-Bio also, by the way, that was a really good call. This sure looks like 30 is about to get tested here. I'd like to see 30 pop and move higher here. I do see some size 29.90. I can't actually see the size at 30, so we'll see if that has some more there.
I'm glad to hear it, Chris, for Anthony. He just sold out of it, so he's made some money there, but he would not be in that one without this chat. I'd love to hear it, man. Looks like it is coming up to some of the yes, yeah. Looks like it's coming up to some of these highs from December.
I think I owe somebody else a register ring there. I do, Nick. You can let the mask go, bro. But here we go. Hims calls up 100%.
Nice,
Nick. Oops, I already played the one up. Need to play the register ring. Bam, bam, bam. I love to see our group printing money here early in the morning. This is how you start off any week, but this is especially how you start off Thanksgiving week.
Big wall and Archer at 699. Call it 7. So they need to see some big volume come in here to break through that, or this is going to turn around right at this area. Don't be surprised.
QMMM at the pre-market high. Watch for this to pop and maybe move higher.
Did it open? It opened and halted again, didn't it? Yep, it sure did.
Oh yeah, it did. Good call there.
So it's doing the thing. It's
doing the thing.
It's resolving that
dude.
This it's resolving this scallop here. So it popped up.
Archer 7 test and higher.
Yep. Oh wow. So it broke through that.
And B-Bio, by the way, this ended up, looks like this printed 30.06 at the high. 30.06. So this did break that $30 level, pulled right back. Volume looking pretty good here. I think this returns through 30. This actually might go higher here. B-Bio. Just like that, it pulls.
Oops. Yeah, I don't know where that one goes. If it breaks over 30, I'd be looking at 32 and then
and look, we're seeing some similar action here in Archer. Looks like it found a little bit of resistance there at 7. This pullback here, this is not bad. Archer up 15.5%. This really not bad. This actually sets us up for going higher, and just like that, right back on at 7. Bang, bang, bang.
Look at Rocket Lab. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That was a different time frame. I was looking at the monthly. That thing.
I would say, okay, Rocket Lab just moving lower off the VWAP there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this one also needed to cool off. I was mentioning how some of these space plays are doing really well. Okay, so PDYN also suspended to the now to the downside.
SMCI continuing to trade higher here. Wait a sec. Let me go back. I gave some levels here on SMCI. Someone asked about this earlier, and I wanted to cover this one. Let me go back to my main chart here. So yes, okay. So we're currently at $37 here. 38 is going to pretty much be the start of the gap fill as well as the 50-day moving average. $38 here on SMCI is the level that you really want to pay attention to here today. This does have some of the upside juice. RSI tells you it's got some more room to go here as well. Oh my, we're having a good Monday morning here on Turkey Crack Week.
40 to 50 SMCI. That's where I see a lot of resistance coming into play. That is the consolidation channel from August to October, following some of these, not releasing their earnings reports news.
Quick check in here on NVIDIA, which is lower. Jay Rice, early running for comment of the day. Lordy, never thought I'd see the day they're selling NVIDIA to buy SMCI. Well, pinch yourself, Jay, because it seems like that's where we're at here this morning. I'm with you, though. Wouldn't have thought that there. NVIDIA coming back in. You know what, though? I actually think that this sets up pretty well for us. Market here does not really care about NVIDIA coming back in as it screams higher. 600. So now, let's do this again as well, real quick. Here's your SPY. We had, remember, the candle that I have been flagging here, 617 is the all-time high. We printed 677, new all-time high here today.
Oh, geez.
Market looking good. Intel 2539. I beg your pardon. That's at the highs here. Boy, we got green arrows across the board.
So I guess that's it then. That's just the pattern has completely done its thing that I was mentioning ever since we had this last all-time high. Make new all-time highs. We consolidate. We leak. We find a base, and then we rip into new all-time highs.
Izzy mentioning that Target is fire. This trading to the highs. Gobble, gobble from the producer. You absolutely love it. There's so much stuff going on, I can't even mention it all. Smoke Tuna calling MURA as a potential setup as well. This rolling to the highs. SMTK also getting called. This moving to the okay. This is what I wanted to see, folks. We are having a good start to the week already. Let's get it.
Target, I would give like 135, probably the area where it runs into a lot of resistance. I don't think Target's going to be filling this gap back up anytime soon. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong about that. But for me, I think this is going to just put in another one of these bear flags and then resolve lower. So I would think around 135, this is going to probably end up getting a reversal in that area. That's what I think, though. I could be wrong about that.
Chris stating the obvious here. This chat is money. You folks are making money for everybody. Everybody just love it. QMMMM. I was one too many.
Q3M.
Sorry. Q3M. Okay. Q3M. I will try and do that. 180 looks like that's going to be back on deck here. We'll see if we end up getting that. Bed Bath and Body Works, ticker BBWI. This actually pulled off the pre-market high, but right back on. I don't think that's done yet. Cooler trading back up to its high here. Some of these impulse moves getting retraced back to the highs. Remember, I had mentioned that Best Buy and Kohl's have earnings coming tomorrow morning. Both of those trading higher here. Let's check in on MicroStrategy real quick. MicroStrategy bucking this down another 4.6%.
WLDS, Wilds, that one's going lower now. This might find support around 215. That'll be something to watch for if you're trading WLDS.
Yeah, okay. And Big Bees, shout out to Big Bees. That MU swing golden, 83 cents to $2 on the 106 call from Friday. Big Bees, you definitely deserve the register ring and the one up here because you told this group. Say again?
Rigetti.
Okay, hang on. I'll get there real quick. Big Bees, you told us that we should keep our eye on this and that this is likely going to be a long side setup. There actually might be some more room here. Really good call, man. Really good call. You gave that to us early as well. Let me go to Rigetti here real fast.
Yeah, Rigetti moving up. Q3M halted to the downside after hitting 181. So Rigetti going up to 311. that breakout of 280, man, that was it. Let me see where this may end up going if we're going to get continued upside here. I like 360, 362, 363. I think we could go right to that.
ELF continuing to move higher here, 132 and change. Oh, baby. And actually, so real quickly here on ELF, one of the things that I was discussing here was the humongous 25K call sweep. Looking at the volume here versus the open interest, there was 25,395 in the open interest. So that big trader was still in there. I actually see 4,000 calls sold here today. They are starting to chip away from that huge position at plus 100% on ELF. This continuing to go higher here. Oh, it's going to be a good day, folks. It's going to be a good day. We've already got gains booked. We can put our feet up and relax on this trade.
Look at Archer go. Look at Archer go. That thing is up to 739 now.
I'm not even pissed that I sold this last week. That's how good things are. I'm not even pissed that I'm missing this. Really awesome stuff.
All right, so we are approaching the high from August of 23. That was 749. I'd say 750. There's a whole bunch of solars up in that area too. So maybe 750 is where we end up going next. Yeah, exactly. Judging.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Sideshow.
Making money. Benzinga Brigade. I like the alliteration there, Tom. Well done.
Sideshow. Q3M has been a halt fest so far today. Ever since it opened, it has been halting.
QMCO getting new highs here. Looking like that's going to try and test 16. QMCO.
Yes.
And Chris is out. We got more register rings. Sorry, 13. Didn't mean to run you over, but we're just booking gains here today.
We are just booking gains here today. And Nicholas, I think I right. Sometimes the market has no chill. And when you take your gains and you continue to see your stock continue to rip like it is with Archer, you can't get mad at it. You know, you didn't expect or anticipate or plan for this. So you only planned what you got, and your plan worked. So I agree. I don't see any reason to get upset at things running after you've already taken gains. Like you just said, Ryan, your plan worked, and that's all that matters.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And as far as those calls go, this also why sometimes selling part and letting the rest go, that can be hairy though, because options change real quick. Look, you never went broke taking a profit. We're going to have more opportunities. QMCO here pushing through 16. Wow, we had a 70-cent pop through there. More highs on deck. Wow. You guys are all doing great today. Everyone in here. I mean, this is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome. Tesla. Wow. Okay. So we have got two stocks here not really participating in some of this upside move. First one's going to be MicroStrategy, ticker MSTR. Did I just break something here? Here is MSTR 400. Maybe it'll hold on to that level. It's trying. Also Tesla here. This was higher right at the pre-market. This has pretty much evaporated its pre-market gains. We're down near, just under 1% away from where it closed on Friday. So keep an eye on Tesla.
Yeah, I remember I said I liked 385, but this thing is very extended, and the RSI looks like it's trying to curl over. So this thing might need to come back in. I don't even remember what the level it was. I said that it needs to come into, but 315 looks like a pretty good level where it could find support if it gets down that low.
HIMS, I actually would expect this to find some resistance right around 30. It's currently at this 29.5 level, but this has been, look at this move here. And actually this was the trend line that you had me put on. It did find some resistance there, but man, oh man, once it broke through that, it really popped to the highs here.
Elon saying is MSTR is showing some indication that Bitcoin may pull back soon. Bitcoin's already pulling back right now, and I think MSTR has got its own little issue going with it. In addition to that, they had that short position taken. But was it Citron that took the short position in MSTR?
Yes. They the public tweet about that. Yes.
It's Bitcoin coming in. It's the fact that MSTR was very extended. There's a lot of factors that led to
your stock's moving. Kodak's moving.
A lot of factors that led to the MSTR coming in a lot more than it has. Kodak. That's what is he saying? What is he on TV right now? Is that why it's moving? Or is it because it's his cabinet picks?
Yeah, I don't know. Kodak here Monday. It looks like we did have Kodak Retirement Income Plan Trust sells $764 million in illiquid assets to MasterCard Foundation for $550 million cash. Signs an additional agreement for $87 million sales to other investors. So it looks like they're just moving some money around the board here. It was halted, and now it's unhalted, plus 16.7%. Oh my!
That's just so funny to me that it continues to do stuff like that, especially whenever Trump is on the TV. That's so funny.
Rigetti pulling back off that high, so that went above 3. Looks like the high print we put in there was 315. Rigetti pulling back. Don't think this is done yet today, folks.
No, QMCO definitely is 1733 now. The high
looks like that just set a new high and came right back in.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. Q3M, that's open again, and that is now coming back down. So remember, this was looked like a junky name. We were thinking maybe it goes to 4. Honestly, it could still do that after the lunch hour, because who knows how crazy this thing could get. Remember, it has less than 9 million shares in the float. Just be careful with this one. It is a junky company.
2,000 more calls from that ELF trade just went off again.
Yeah, Daniel, I think you're seeing that too. Wow. Rigetti's looking. It's like it's trying to get ready to go here.
Okay, let me bring it on screen. Let me bring it on screen. God, there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, 315 is the intraday high in Rigetti. There's a lot of supply up ahead here. So up from 3 to about 325, there's a lot of shares to chew through here that want to get sold. So we need to see this volume expand here, or else we're not going to get up to that 315. Really need to get that volume expansion to chew through all that. Q3M halted to the downside again. Cooler hit a high of 75 cents and came back in. Currently beneath the VWAP, but looking to try and retake it here. Looks like a lot of these things are starting to come in now. Everything is looking like it's starting to come in. QMCO is not, though. 1759 new intraday high. Wow, PDYN, that just absolutely cratered. Somebody mentioned that knife earlier. We do love junk line, but we don't want to own it. We just want to trade it. And right now, I don't think we're going to get that kind of trade out of Q3M at the moment. Let's let it do its thing. Let it chill out. I mean, the RSI, I'm sorry, the MACD is indicating that it is supposed to go lower here. So maybe it does. Maybe it gets down to about, it could probably even go down to $1 before it finds support. But first level of support is going to be about 125 and then 112 for me.
QBTS, this looks like this might try and pop the top off there again. WLDS, we'll see if that turns around here.
QMCO still making new highs on the verge of 18, 1788 intraday high. Archer popped up to 747. Now it's getting support from the VWAP at 710. We'll see if it gets that support and tries to go higher. MACD indicating that it might start to roll over, so be careful with Archer. By the way, Archer, I don't remember the exact float, but I remember it was heavy. So you know what we say about these heavy floats. Yeah, 324 million shares. Be careful with this one. This could actually be very, very hard to push up higher. Yes, as long as it makes us money, that's all we care about. We don't care about what these junk companies do or anything like that, what their balance sheet looks like. This gives us an idea of what we're dealing with. We do not want to own these at the end of the day. We just want to trade their movement.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, give us tradable spots to work off of, and that's all we really need.
All right, looks like Cooler's trying to push again. Remember, this one also has a heavy float, over 100 million shares, so be careful with that.
Done a great job holding its VWAP thus far.
QMCO, tell me if you heard this before, pushing into new highs. 1863 is the intraday high now.
Izzy mentioning that the Qs are rolling over here. Yes, they are. So they pretty much evaporated that leg up that we saw in the pre-market. So hold on to 508 here. W moving again. What did we say there, producer? Thought that might give us another trade here again. W moving again. Just to remind you of the quote earlier, moves batshit crazy, end quote. MicroStrategy, MSTZ. We had a number of people that were trading this. This is going to be that inverse MicroStrategy ETF. This popping here. Tesla is still pulling to the lows. Boy, oh boy. This has been a wild open here. Big up moves, big halted. Down moves. Which one? QMCO?
Is halted, yeah.
1889, indeed.
Daniel, stick with that 30. Actually, I'm not ridiculing you or anything, but 30 seems like a possibility at this point. But yes, 20 is definitely on deck for a tap here.
And this was a halt to the upside too. So I'm not in this one. It'd be curious to see if this pops right out of that halt opening. Who's diving faster, Lunar or NVIDIA? On a percentage basis, NVIDIA. On a real dollar basis, NVIDIA. I'll tell you what, this NVIDIA pullback, let me take a look here. Well, maybe this is the kind of stuff that I want to see, honestly.
And I would like to see Lunar continue to fall. That would be, as long as we can find some support somewhere around the 13 handle, somewhere within the 13 handle. If we can get some support, that'd be really good for Lunar. This is very extended though, so I don't know if I'll get that wish. Remember, these space stocks, they've been on a tear lately, so they do need to cool off, and let's let them do that. And then once they've cooled off, we can trade them again. It's gonna be a good year next year with these space stocks.
I hope so. I hope so. Man, oh man, this has been a fun morning already. This has been a fun morning already. Cooler almost new highs there.
Is this were you saying realty or I'm sorry,
retail? He's saying retail.
Sorry.
So here, because he's also mentioning Kohl's, which is KSS, Dick's. Those have reports tomorrow morning. He's also throwing Lulu in there, which, remember, we were taking a look at based off the recent retail report. I think it was Walmart in there. Lulu actually looking pretty decent here. Where are we at on this level? See if we cross that 330 level on Lulu. How's Walmart doing today? Walmart up 0.3%. Okay. SMCI getting another mention here.
Yep.
That was that $38 level. This was the level. Remember, this was the level. SMCI. In fact, let me go back and make sure. I'm sorry I'm clicking around so much here real fast. Yep, 38. We are right above that level. We are in the gap. We are above the 50. This gap doesn't fill till about 47. Not saying we're going to do that here today, but that's one of the spots going on with SMCI here. That XR. So this is good on XRT here. This spider sector. This is up 3% here. In fact, let's see something here real quick. Let me go to my sector overview. Take a look at this. Well, let me resize this heat map here. I don't know why this is drawn improperly. There we go. XRT, your leading sector here today, up 3.16%. Next most green is the XTL, up 2.47%. That's the telecom ETF.
It's like Rocket Lab's trying to bounce here. Don't know how much we're going to get out of this. I think it could maybe trade up to about 24 and change and then turn around. So
the only sectors, this is crazy. The only sectors that are red here today, bio or pharmaceutical and semiconductors.
Rigetti, this looks like it's trying to recapture 3. There's a big wall at 3, but it's putting in some decent price action. It looks like it could get back up to $3.
This is a bounce here on Rigetti off that VWAP, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like some of these stocks that were just selling off recently are starting to turn around. I think maybe PDYN might be another one.
We can take a look here at PDYN real quick.
That's trying to go after its VWAP. Let's see if it can recapture. And looks like SRK might be trying to do the same. And they brought in some more asks at Rigetti at 290, trying to push it down. Oh, they took that out.
I think you might be right on your 3 call here, 13. I got size there at 3 too. Big size. See if that pops and rolls through it.
We just need to see that volume expansion.
QMCO is open. That did go higher here. Just stopped just shy of 20.
Great call. Great call on that 20.
This pulling back in here. QMCO, this actually might halt to the downside if it keeps pulling. I'll go back to Rigetti here because I still, well, no, this is still right around that 290 area. Never mind. BBio, that lost 30.
Careful if you're trading cooler. This is the 3rd attempt at 75 cents. And if this candle does not close above it, I think we're turning around and going lower. Don't like the way those wicks are looking. Yeah, be careful with cooler. This one might turn around soon. So looking pretty good here. Good day.
It's been an eventful day so far here.
Yeah.
I don't think any of that's over.
I think Rocket Lab's still trying to turn around. Diamond Hotline asking us to please check INTC. He wants to go long here.
INTC had a big move earlier. I had some news there with the CHIPS Act too. What's the spot? What's the reason for going long right here? I mean, we lost the. Okay, so maybe I've got this at $25, right? That's the right price. Okay. Yeah, I guess my question is, why is this the spot? We lost that VWAP, we lost that 65, maybe 25 even is the number here.
I think 2475 might be the spot he's referring to. That was about where the September 27th high was. And ever since we popped over that in earlier this month and came back in, that area has been, that's where the price has been going sideways. It's right about there. So I'm wondering if that's what he's seeing in terms of buying at the pullback, that particular level where it's been getting good consolidation. Just a thought. I don't know if that's exactly what he's looking at here, but I could see if that's the reason why he's looking to add or pick it up there.
Rigetti here. This looks like this might go for 3 here. We shall see. But it is 10 o'clock, and it's 10 o'clock on a Monday. You folks know what that means. It is time for Matt Maley. Let's bring him on. All right, Matt, thanks for joining us. Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. Look, I have to ask you, we had an unreal college slate of games. What was your favorite college upset this week?
There were so many of them. It's hard to say. I would say, though, this thing with Alabama.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Can't believe Alabama lost.
Bad beatdown. I mean, that was not. I mean, it wasn't like it was they missed it at the end. They got manhandled. I didn't see much of the game at all. I just saw the score, and I was following the scores. But it was like that was strange. I will say this though. One thing that a lot of people weren't focused on. But I had 2 brothers who went to graduate school at Columbia. First time since 1961, Columbia co-champions of the Ivy League, which is, they had been, they would win 1 or 2 games a year for decades if they were lucky. And then sometimes they would go, they had like a 30-game losing streak at one point. And so for Columbia University to have a winning football team, 7-3, co-champions of the Ivy League, good for them. I didn't watch the game, I must admit, but I don't even know if it was on TV. I can't imagine.
Here, that sounds a lot like the Detroit Lions, who for the longest time couldn't really get wins together, and now they are without a doubt the best team in football. So really good stuff. I did watch that Alabama game, and you're correct. They got beat down. Okay, Matt, really good stuff there. We've had kind of a wild morning here with the markets. We actually had a new all-time high here on the S&P 500 as that traded higher to 686, taking out the previous all-time high. A lot going on here. I know we're kind of pulling back now. What are you thinking here with the market? We've got a truncated week with the Thanksgiving holiday. We've got some of the economic numbers like the jobless claims and the core PCE moved up to Wednesday. What do you think about where we're at here this week?
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting because usually, well, the Thanksgiving week tends to be a good week for the stock market. Not to say it goes up 5% or anything like that, but it tends to be a little bit better. So it's getting off to a good start in usual fashion. Now, as you mentioned, there's a bunch of stuff out this week. PCE, jobless claims. We have new housing sales, pending housing sales, new housing sales. We have durable goods, a lot of different numbers out. And of course, everybody's focused on what's going to happen with Donald Trump, and then the new Treasury Secretary that people are seeing is bullish. But of course, the Fed is still a real important situation. They say they're data dependent. So if this data, is either really strong or really weak this week, that could have an impact on the bond market. The bond market, bond yields are already starting to roll over a little bit. If they continue to do that, that could give more tailwinds to the market here. So that would be bullish. However, especially if that deflator, if that PCE number is stronger than expected, the one thing everybody's worried about when it comes to even the biggest bulls on Trump's policies are saying, yeah, but it could be a problem for inflation. And this inflation number is measuring October. So if the inflation numbers are already ticking up even before the election, will that create some concerns and will that slow the market down? So my point is that usually it's a real quiet week. By Tuesday midday, people are traveling. It's usually really boring. That might not be the case this week. We could see some big moves, see some decent moves out of this data. So my point is that the traders should, will want to keep on their toes. Don't necessarily want to, shut things off for the week too early. We could see a lot of movement in either direction. But right now, again, it's setting up pretty well. Seeing a little bit of a pullback here from the highs at the opening. Right now, this new Treasury Secretary seems to be something that people are very bullish about. So unless we get a problem with the inflation numbers on a very short-term basis, the line of least resistance does seem to be higher.
Yeah, and our chat saying the same thing here. Market looks choppy with the new Treasury pick. Jay here also mentioning if you chased this move out of the open, you got hurt. So we'll see where we end up setting up there. One of the other things, Matt, that was really interesting to me, mostly because I've been holding a lot of smaller cap stocks. The IWM here sure looks like this is trying to break out and go higher here. Got having a nice move here, up 1.7%. You think the IWM is on deck for setting some new highs here, maybe this week?
Well, the thing is that it's hard not to see that. I mean, it's kind of funny because right now you look at this rotation thing. It's really hard for the market to rotate. If the semiconductor stocks and Nvidia is down today, actually down a decent amount. Yep. If they go down in a big way, but that's going to be a problem because they're just so heavily weighted in the indices. But the SMH is actually up right now. It's almost like we're seeing a rotation within the chip stocks. Nvidia and Taiwan Semiconductor are down, but everything else is trying to do better. I mean, look at Broadcom and Advanced Micro Devices. All these other stocks are actually doing better. So the SMH is up, even though 40%, those two big names, or 40% of the index of the ETF are down. So I guess my point is that the rotation story is out there. As long as the SMH can go up, it doesn't have to lead. It just needs to not fall, and to allow this rotation to happen. If the market's going to go higher into the end of the year, we do need a couple things. The banks need to do better. We do need the chip stocks to hold up. Don't necessarily have to outperform, and then the last thing, of course, is this the small cap area, which has been underperforming for so long. So again, if you believe we're going to get that year-end rally, which we usually get in an election year, I got to think that one of the leadership groups will be the small caps, the IWM.
Yeah, and that's music to my ears. As we were talking there, you're absolutely right here. The SMH is trying to hang on. So to your point about it, doesn't necessarily need to be up as long as it doesn't break down. That's exactly what we're seeing here. Really good stuff there. 13, did you have anything for Matt here this week?
Well, he touched on the economic news. We have Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be the big days for the data. You mentioned the building permits, new home sales. We get those in the morning. Do you think we'll get some volatility off those, and then later on when we get FOMC meeting minutes, get more movement off of that?
Well, we certainly could. I mean, the one thing is that, when with this whole Fed speak thing, the most important person is the chairman, no question.
Yeah.
And whatever he or she is saying, in this case, it's a he. I'm sorry. So he is no question what his comments from a week and a half ago were a little bit more hawkish, or certainly less dovish. The thing is, some other people have been a little bit more hawkish, but that's what they do. They always do that. They kind of give good cop, bad cop, but they lean in one direction or the other. And right now, they're definitely leaning to a more hawkish tone. And people will be looking at those Fed meeting minutes to find out to confirm it. I think it will confirm it because that's where the way Powell's going, and he's the most important person to listen to. But they definitely they don't want to get all too far to one. They like to gradually shift it, and they do that by doing the good cop, bad cop. But they definitely seem to be shifting to a more hawkish, or at least a less dovish tone, which could, because again, we've seen this interest rates trying to roll back over. That long-term yield got up to 4.5%. Now it's come back down 4 out of the last 6 days. Is that showing a change in trend? We don't know, and the Fed minutes could be important to that end. So I agree. It's something that you got to keep a close eye on as we go through the week. And the thing is, when a lot of people traveling, and nowadays, of course, they can take Wednesday off without even thinking about it. It's going to be very thin trading, so you could see some wild moves before the week's over. And
with those housing data, new home sales, building permits, what do you think we get with that, seeing as how we had some, I don't remember the data being so favorable last week with the I think it was existing home sales and whatnot. Yeah. But what are we thinking with if we get not so favorable news from that? You think we continue to see these builder stocks get hammered, like Toll Brothers, DHI, things of that nature?
I would think so. I mean, again, the yields are starting to roll back over a little bit, but if you see that, especially if they've rolled over a little bit, but they've got a long way to drop before you start thinking bond yields are going to go down a lot. And I just don't. Again, what the Fed is saying right now, especially the Fed chairman, even if they're going to continue to cut rates, which they're going to do, but if they're going to do it at a much lower rate, that means that long-term yield is going to stay higher, which means mortgage rates stay higher, which is very tough on these overbought building stocks. They've had an unbelievable run here, but I just think you have to be very, very careful if interest rates are going to indeed remain higher, even if they don't break to 5% that some people were worried about a week and a half ago. It doesn't mean they're going back to 3.5% overnight. So I think that's going to be something to be very cognizant of. And let's face it, as we all know, the building home builders, the construction is so important to the economy. And if they start to lose some momentum, that's going to be that's going to have an impact on the overall market.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I know we talked about Toll being a potential short at some point. Hasn't really given us the setup yet, actually trading up 5.5% here, so a big move higher. Look, this is just, I'm with you on this too, because when I see stocks that are extended like this, I definitely want to try and take advantage of that. Case in point, Walmart, you talked about this last time that you were on. I took my second stab at trying to trade this to the short side. Hasn't worked yet, but we'll see here. Any tips that you have out there for trying to initiate a short position when a stock is really trying to push to highs like we've seen in Walmart or in Toll Brothers?
Well, that can get very frustrating. I think the best way to do it, and we've been doing it in the chat room in United Airlines, which just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it ridiculously overbought. But the key is to do it in a very small way. When you start off, you say, okay, I'm going to buy some puts or short in some way. You start, and then when you get the confirmation that it's actually rolling over, that's when you can really make then you can add to, it's okay. It's like, oh my gosh, I bought if you bought some puts, you say, well, I bought the puts at 50 cents. Well, now they're trading at 70 cents. Well, once you get the confirmation, you buy some at 50, some at 70, your average price is 60, that you've got a winning trade. Maybe it gets down to 60, you get out of the thing with no loss. And if it runs, everybody says, oh, geez, it's moved up too much. I should have bought more when it was lower. If it's going in your direction, go ahead and buy some more. Don't be afraid to pay up. Your average price will be fine. It gives you a good level to think about as a stop out level. And the fact that you nibbled, if you're wrong, you haven't lost a lot if you just nibbled on a very small thing. Don't jump. You don't have to jump in, and certainly shouldn't jump in with both feet, and especially in the market that we're trading right now with all the euphoria. I mean, you sit there and say, well, geez, this market, there's too much bullishness, too much euphoria. I agree with that, but we all know the market can stay irrational longer than people can stay solvent. So jumping in with both feet, wait till you get that confirmation that's really rolling over to add to the position and make it a concrete one. And that way you really limit the losses if you're wrong.
Matt, really, really good stuff there. That is exactly how I was playing it. I was also using options to define my risk ahead of time on there. Really, really good tips there. This is part of what makes trading some of these stocks that are big momentum movers to the upside. It's what makes them difficult. If you folks want to trade with Matt, I went ahead and posted a link to the webinar, the Universe webinar in there. Call our guy Rodrigo. He'll get you all set up. Matt, thanks so much again. I know this is a holiday week here. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thanks again for giving us some time here today.
You bet, Ryan. Both you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. That is Matt Maley. He is the absolute best. Really, really good stuff there. Great questions here from the chat as well. Giddy up, man. We are having a wonderful Monday. I'm going back to the
perfect timing because QMCO just unhalted so that we can see it hit 30. Daniel with even if it was an accidental call, he said 30, he meant 20. That thing blew past 20, and now we're like we just tested 26. So 30 is possible, but we are getting a pull here, so we'll see if we still get that. It's still possible, I think.
Really, really good stuff. And check it out. Our Rigetti trade went right through through the highs as well. Rigetti new highs here out that day trade as well. 2 for 2 on the day. Boy, oh boy, we're cooking up something good here today.
Just give me a second here. I'm going to find out if I can see
out the rest of ELF here. That was a banger. Both legs out over 100%. Very, very quick turnaround on those options. Thank you, Benzinga Pro, for alerting me to that. We are having a great day here. Rigetti looks like it just pulled.
I don't know.
Right back on. That the Phantom candle. I don't see that in my broker.
Cooler.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Cooler, after hammering 75 cents multiple times, still could not get over it. So those upper shadows we were looking at, they were telling you the story. Avoid that one. It was topping out. Now we're headed lower. MACD is indicating this also should at least come down to 62 cents. I don't know if there's going to be more upside in Cooler today, folks. Remember, this is a heavy float. The move might be in for the day, but if you want to keep it on your radar for an after lunch trade, that might still be possible as well.
And meanwhile, QMCO almost at that $30 target that was given out earlier. This halted to the upside here, 26.19, just a massive move. Stock's up 186.9% here. Just absolutely wild. Really, really good stuff. Jay's asking a really good question. Sydney here saying Ryan 13 money bags along with the rest of the chat. We couldn't do it without the chat. We're going to give a register ring. That's a communal register ring for everyone here. Jay, this is a really good comment that we've actually been discussing a lot recently. NVIDIA, almost every analyst loves it. Who's left to buy? Jay's asking you a really good question here. What big buyer here is left? Who doesn't have NVIDIA? We're seeing a slow bleed here. Honestly, this is great. I really want to see this continue. Let's diversify into some other names. Really good stuff here early on.
Diamond Hotline. The 1 minute chart for Intel, that doesn't look like an inverse. That looks like an actual head and shoulders, like we are topping out and ready to go lower. So right shoulder should, and the 1 minute chart, that should be forming as soon as we hit. We should get over a little bit over $25. I'm sorry, we're already there. Like $25.25. That should be about where the right shoulder tops out at, and then we should see the resolution to the downside on Intel. RGTI, this is pushing up higher.
QUBT also pushing up higher here.
All right, so that means
Archer right back towards the highs. Sorry, 13, I interrupted you twice there.
It's okay. No one's counting except you.
Well done. Well done here.
Yeah, so maybe QMCO pops to 30 out of the halt. Who knows? Tracy asking if you happen to have a pullback entry for UAVS. Let me take a look.
Here, let me bring that on screen. UAVS. I don't think I've pulled that up here yet today. Let's do that for Tracy.
It doesn't look too bad at all.
Okay, so I don't know what kind of trade you're talking about here, but clearly VWAP here 386. That's actually already provided one trade as we pull back to the VWAP. Now we're doing it again. I'm going to go to the 5-minute here. I've got the VWAP at 388 and I've got the 65 EMA at 369. So I would say if it doesn't bounce right here at 388, 369 would be my next level down there.
Yeah, so
and real quick, I'm going to step away for 1 sec while you break this.
So just real quick, when it comes to UAVS, the volume in this is not great today. So this may be something that it's up to you. This is something you might want to avoid altogether. If we're not going to get this volume, the moves that we're anticipating of where it could go may not end up happening. We need the volume to match the technicals or the anticipated technical move. So if we don't get the volume to do that, it's just it's not going to be a good trade. Not saying it couldn't do that, but I'd like to see more volume in UAVS. If you are going to do a trade, an intraday trade here, the area to entry would be right about kind of where it is, about 390. It looks like it's trying to put in a bull flag, which is where we pop up. We start to trade down over 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll find a bottom and break out over the high that we put in. So I think that right about where it's at might be the entry if you're going to trade this. But again, I do not like the volume in this one. I don't know if we're going to get a resolution of that bull flag. Root breaking out, says Brian. Take a look at Root. This thing back over 100. Oh, wow. It's well over 100. Well over 100 now. And yes, you are right. It is breaking out. So let's see, Root. This thing actually ended up going as high as 118 and 15 cents at the end of October. And since then, it's actually just been trying to make its way back up to that high, and it's almost there. QMCO is open. It popped up to 26.50 before selling a little bit. Let's see if we can get a 30 print here. Let's see what the bulls have got in store for us. Looks like it's pushing up. Benzinga news on Cooler, digital energy platform. Cooler is doing a lot of really interesting things. Apparently, I thought they were going to completely move a lot of their business into the space area, but apparently they're also going to be doing fusion, not fission, fusion reactors. They're doing the cathodes for that. Crazy stuff that's Cooler's doing. Not very overvalued. And the share structure isn't great. Really need to see a reverse split in Cooler. All right. QMCO, here we go. Time for 30. Daniel, are you still on this? You're going to see it? Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry, Fairchild, too. That's correct. SMR components. But that was for the fusion reactor that I was just talking about. All right. Looks like some of these space stocks are also turning around, getting a bit of a curl here in Lunar. There's something to watch for. Same thing with Rocket Lab. Both of these and their MACDs are showing that they are trying to find a bottom and turn around. Let's see if we can get a recapture of VWAP in both of those. For Rocket Lab, that's good. I have it at 24.21, and for Lunar, I have it at 15.01. QMCO is going.
Sorry about that. 13.
No problem. 27.78 is the high in QMCO. We're almost there. Don't know.
Got it on screen here.
Not sure if we're going to hit 30 exactly, but I mean, we got closer than we did to, just staying at 20.
This pulling back here. Watch the possible downside halt if this continues to pull here.
Yep. Just be ready to take those gains unless you're already taking them. Raise those stops. Do what you got to do. Don't get killed in this thing. All right, so that does that thing. Just going to look around here and see what else. B-Bio has been trying to get up above this and hold above this $30 level all morning. So maybe we'll see a good breakout further into the 30 handle at some point soon with BBIO. Rigetti 337 is the intraday high in Rigetti, RGTI.
Oh, sorry, looking at the wrong chart here. Here is Rigetti. Oh my God, this continued to go. All right.
And
Joby getting mentioned by Izzy here.
Rigetti, I would think 363 could be 362, 363. I think I've been saying that all morning. Could be where Rigetti ends up going to. Looks like QMCO is really starting to come in now. That was a really good one. And, you know, Daniel, great mistake. That was probably the greatest mistake I've seen in a long time. And it was a typo.
Sometimes it's good when mistakes work out. That thing printed almost 28. This is going to halt here to the downside, isn't it? Yeah, it is halted here to the downside. 2278, your halt level there. Cooler here came back into the VWAP. Looks like it's trying to return back to the highs here. Here's Rigetti, still 335 on Rigetti. Dave getting mentioned here by Jay Rice.
Cooler trying to recapture VWAP. Remember, 75 cents was where it was topping out in the morning.
This Dave area, interesting here at 94 3/4, but I guess you could call it 95. Potential break higher here on Dave. By the way, 13. I got to set more price alerts because I missed it. Look at this. We talked all morning about what floating islands can do for you. And look at look at this is exactly it. I'm pissed at myself, straight up pissed at myself for missing this one. I talk to you guys all the time about these floating island formations. Look what happened. We retested the bottom of that candle perfectly at about $78. No surprise. It held. So what did the price do? It runs right back to the high of that first candle. I'm telling you, folks, you're going to see this a lot out there. We're seeing it again here on Dave. Good stuff. I'm pissed I didn't take this one, but Jay, I'm glad that you brought this to our attention here. And our Ari stocks, love Dave. It's printed money. Let's go.
We're getting pulling.
What's that?
We're getting pulling after hitting 337. We're getting a bit of a pull here.
Okay.
I won't say that this is done and over until we actually see some more downside, maybe even a loss of VWAP. But we did get a pull like this earlier in the day, and it was just setting up to go higher. So let's see if we get that too.
Okay, NVIDIA also, by the way, I know we were talking about that pulling here all morning. NVIDIA looks like that down move here is at least slowed down. Maybe we're holding 137. Looking over at the Qs, I'm seeing the same thing here. Down move looks like we're starting to bounce. Same here with the SPY. So looks like maybe this down move might be at least temporarily on pause here. Rivian getting a mention in the chat. Is something going on here with Rivian?
A-Lab has A-Lab is like an archipelago with all these islands that it has here.
Archipelago. I love the vocab word there. Let's take a look at A-Lab on the longer term chart. Oh my.
See what I mean? It's a whole cluster of islands.
And you know what? I guess technically if you wanted to do that, this did pull back and test the bottom end of that island, folks. And look at the last time.
Yes.
And look at the time before that.
Yes. It's an archipelago.
You get a car and you get an island, and oh my gosh. Okay, look, this is the island formation. I mean, I don't think we've found one here that really hasn't worked yet. Just saying. Just saying. Rivian, this was getting mentioned here by Shashank. Did we have news on Rivian this morning? Let's see, Monday, November 25th. This is today. That's right. Tesla Rivian signaled to end the 4-year legal battle over the trade secrets. Rivian here, this is a really good day here for it today. 1050 to 1150, up 12% here. Nice dollar move. You had a VWAP bounce in there, VWAP test and hold in there. My thought on Rivian is still the same. Company loses $1 billion a quarter. Until that is not the case, I'm not interested in swinging this long, but this is a good day here today.
Yeah, that makes me laugh. Those EV companies that are still on the market losing billions of dollars a quarter, and they're just still trading up. I think NIO's like that too.
Rigetti, maybe this is bouncing back towards the top. NNE, what's that doing here today? It's one of those nuclear names. Nano Nuclear shares trading lower after company announced 60 million private placement with the 3 accredited institutional investors. So I guess you want to see if 2850 holds here. Remember, just going to go back and quote Tim Melvin here. You're trading a story, and there's likely going to be a lot of volatility between now and the time that story resolves. That's what you're seeing here on NNE.
Yeah, the thing is that they're issuing shares with that.
Yeah.
So that's the unfortunate issue there is they're just making their float larger, which is going to lead to this this downside move. Let's see if there's a spot where we can find an entry, because this to me looks like it's a temporary thing. I'll tell you what, 30 might be an interesting breakout level if it can get back up there. Now, intraday, if we form an inverse head and shoulders intraday, 30 would be the neckline. So it needs to still make a right shoulder, but if it ends up doing that, this will be an inverse head and shoulders. Just something to watch for an NNE.
Oh my God, look at Deere. Wow. The last time we talked about Deere, we talked about this breaking 420 and then breaking the spot at 445, 450. This thing is 463 now, new all-time high here, ticker DE Deere. This continued to punch. Really good stuff. Say again?
Farmers be farming.
Yep.
Wow, what a move.
What a move is right.
But this move also is extended. So this, I mean, for me, if I was in this would be a great time to raise those stops.
Yeah.
Maybe even shave a little bit off and let it come back in. I mean, it could be one of those moves where it keeps going because it's hot right now. But
you might even consider selling upside calls against your stock.
There
right?
you go.
Collect the premium.
Yep.
If the thing pops and calls your shares away, then you booked gains at the highs. You also collected the premium. If it comes back in, you sold the premium and protect. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you could do there.
Oh yeah. And we're extended like over 75 RSI. Even if this does go a little bit higher, I mean, I don't think that it goes a whole lot higher at this point, especially with a float size of 275 million shares, which is price target of 450, and it's already past that. Yeah, this has already hit all the price targets.
QMCO here. This is open, moving lower,
except maybe the 470s, but.
Farmers also be buying 30-year-old tractors so that they can repair them and get the F back in the fields.
Yeah, they're going to be doing that because they don't want to have to rely on. What is not
extended? Is a good call. It's a good question.
Well, probably a lot of oil names, but I think a lot of farmers don't want to have to rely on Deere to come out and repair their tractors, because that whole right to repair thing, Deere is trying to make it so that you have to have a certified Deere technician repair. And I think there's a lot of pushback on that.
Yeah, I think they're from the farmers that I know, they like to repair things themselves.
Right. And Robert, that's exactly my point. You can't repair the new tractors. Exactly.
Real quickly here, Daniel's asking, did you guys talk about XIII and why it keeps moving 40% a day? So here's your 15-minute chart so you can see what Daniel is talking about. As of Friday, November 15th, this was a $3 stock. Stock is almost 10x from that day here at 27. I don't know. We have covered this recently because this has been on the scanner a few times, but I don't know that we've necessarily really kind of broken it down. Looks like they did have some earnings recently. The year-over-year increase.
Oh, yeah. I remember this one now.
Entered into a purchase agreement for $1.3 million and $8.7 million in equity financing.
Yeah, this is another one of those compliance stocks, recompliance. So they have a hearings panel on last week. A hearings panel granted another extension to continue listing, and they have to meet some criteria by December 17th. So this party could potentially continue until middle of next month. The EPS beat, that's a huge thing. That's a big improvement over year. So I think that they're also taking that account as well. Also very low float, 1.5 million shares in the float, so easy to move around. The party is going to, when this party ends, it's going to be ugly. That's what my takeaway is from this. Wow, almost 95 RSI on the daily. I don't think I need to say much more. That is
you don't.
Insane.
WLDS just reclaimed, or it's trying to reclaim the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. See if maybe the bottom is in there. QMCO, this holding here at about $20 or $21, excuse me. Archer, that just shifted around on me. Let me pull up Archer and take a look at that. We've been looking at that all morning here. Archer here, 650.
At
750, excuse me, off the high. I beg your pardon. Thank you, 13.
No worries.
Look, we've had a lot of stuff going on here. I'm a little mixed up. I don't know what to tell you about that. Okay.
Looking at Xena.
Sure, I can bring that up. Izzy was asking about that.
Yep. Getting some kind of movement here. May just be, nope, it got news. Opportunities in the 47 billion drone. There was some kind of news here. Looks like somebody covered it. NewsDirect apparently. Looks like NewsDirect may have just mentioned this earlier this morning, being one of the potential drone plays. So if you have a watch list of drone plays, you've got RCAT and whatnot, the AVAV, throw Xena in there too. It's in that space. I don't have a float read on this, though. I'd have to look somewhere else for that. Jay Rice asking if INDI, is that an island reversal, Ryan?
I'm on it. I'm on it. So okay. So this is a really good learning lesson here. So first of all, yes, this does give you the traditional island, but it's not the floating island that we really look for, because this pop didn't pop it above the price range. These can still work, but they don't work at the same successful clip that, like the ones that we see on A-Lab, where you had 3 of them working in a row, for heaven's sake. So this is the island, but it's not a pop to a new price area. The other thing here that makes these very, very difficult to trade, I'd actually consider this one not to work, because we actually broke down through the bottom of this candle. Now, that isn't to say you can't do it, but that makes the trade a little bit more difficult, because if you're buying right here and then it sells off, you're probably stopping out. Then you have to stay on top of that and say, okay, if we reclaim that same area, do I then long trigger that? It can work, like you're seeing right here. It did work, in fact, in INDI. This line here is at 465. The current price is at 528. It's just more difficult in this situation. It's a little bit more difficult to do. Someone that's a seasoned vet and is a constant hawk on the charts can easily play that.
Lemonade, Learn with Moses. I think this is a short squeeze. I don't see any news from today. There was some news on yesterday over the weekend. Doesn't seem like there was anything. Maybe just a news story. But I think today we're just getting a short squeeze. 30% of the float shorted over 8 days to cover. 51, almost 52 million shares. So not the heaviest, but not the lightest either.
How did Sava do after that data?
Let's see.
Okay, so Sava's holding in here at 4.
It's been beaten down and it ain't getting back up. Maybe not today anyway. Well,
so it looks like we had a low print here of 356 and the bounce took us to 530. Now we're beneath the VWAP. To me, the rest of this, all about the VWAP. Grats if you played that bounce, but I'd have looked for something else personally.
Yeah, and this is something that you should understand about how bad news this is. They got as far as phase 3, so they spent all that money going through previous phases, getting to this point, and finding out that their drug they've been spending all this money on ain't shit. That's not great. And you're going to get this all day. So
Meta-Cow, great show. I've gone from learning to earning. Keep it up. We will absolutely do that. Appreciate that and appreciate the comments. This is definitely an earn while you learn environment. So really good stuff there.
But as far as Sava goes, I mean, they still do have like about a little less than 150 million of cash on hand. So I don't know what else they've got in the pipeline, but that might be worth taking a look at if this is something you want to continue trying to trade. See if they have potentially other news coming out on some other drug they're working on. But I think this was the big one, the Alzheimer's drug.
Yeah, that was it. That was their whole thing, was that Alzheimer's drug. Jenks here mentioning SMCI VWAP bounce. That was a really good call here. So it looks like that is in process. By the way, NVIDIA here did break down, took another leg down to some new lows. It's bouncing here, but this is now 3 consecutive pushes to the downside that have resulted in new intraday lows. Jay Rice, he's out here. He's out here.
That's a good one.
Save Sava. I'm with you on that, Jay.
Learn with Moses. You are mentioning lemonade, right? That's LMND, because I tried LNMD and there's nothing there. But if you're referring to lemonade, okay, I thought you were just referring to just what the movement was today. You're talking about the past 6 months. I don't see much from the past 6 months. It's mostly just this current month where it's been getting all kinds of movement. I see we've had some pops here and there over the course of the past 2 years. Help me with that. Clarify that that's what we're looking at here. But as far as LMND goes, this thing is, tell me if you heard this before, extended. All right. So
okay.
Christopher Anthony taking 50 shares of LASE long from 655.
LASE, huh? That's Laser Photonics. Really quickly here, this stock advertises on CNBC every day. They did have an advertisement for like an anti-drone defense EMP type thing that actually looked really cool. Looks like James Bond type stuff. But recently, the commercial that I saw recently, and actually this morning, is about some laser that you use in maritime situations where it like preps the metal without having to full dry dock the boat. So this is actually a real company that is advertising on CNBC for real products that are in use right now. Just keep it under your hat.
Okay, yeah. So with Lemonade, Learn with Moses, that's the most movement I've seen is just in this month alone, and very extended. It should come in at some point. Maybe it goes to 59 or 61st, but anytime between now and let's say that level, it should reverse. All right. Well, I think maybe the market might have given us an opportunity to take a breath.
Yeah. I mean, I had been, like I said, I had to step away for some time there. I took it at the first chance I got. You're right here. It's been a wild day. Lots of action right out of the open.
RCAT, this is just getting a pop recently over VWAP. Watch for expanding volume in RCAT. It's got some pre-market consolidation to chew through. But once it does, then it might be able to get back over 10. Watch for expanding volume in that one.
RCAT here, about to go into double digits. It's just such a huge win for the group.
QMCO, that's still trying to push back up here. Don't know if it's going to get to that 30 or not, but
I'm kind of glad I didn't trade that one here today. I have a 2 for 2 here today. And I didn't trade any of the wild ones here. Mara getting a mention in the chat. Mara, good call here. It's a nice bounce off 25, 2.5 point bounce off this move lower here. Bitcoin also moving off the lows. So looking at the Bitcoin futures, that's /BTC, 95K looks like we bounced off of. So a 1,300 point bounce here. Apple, by the way, someone asked about Apple earlier. We talked about that. That had a run out of the open and a pullback with the rest of the market here. But this actually reverting back towards the highs there on Apple, ticker AAPL. That looking pretty good.
I'd be cautious with Bitcoin until it can get back to about 97,000. If it looks like it's trying to get back up there and recover, but I need some confirmation of that first, because this still is setting up to potentially go lower. So I need to see that the going lower pattern break in order for this to for me to feel a little more confident about it going higher. So 97,000, I want to see it get back up there.
Okay, taking another look at the sectors here, retail still leading the way here higher. XSD, that's the semiconductors. And looks like leading the way lower here is going to be the pharmaceutical sector and energy. XLE.
So with retail looking strong, are we anticipating a strong holiday season then? In which case, we want to maybe consider the retailers for a holiday swing, or maybe maybe pick up some Amazon. I don't know.
Well, I think what it's telling you here is that that Christmas is still on, right? The holidays are still on here despite everything that's going on. What's interesting here is that we're having such strong outperformance here today when we have a whole slew of retail earnings coming tomorrow before the bell. So just to recap there, before the open, we've got Abercrombie, ticker ANF, Kohl's, ticker KSS, Best Buy, ticker BBY, Macy's, ticker M, although they have accounting errors and stuff in there, and then Dick's, ticker DKS. So, and then also Wayfair, Big of B's, Wayfair. This was actually our producer here trading this one last week based on the Walmart earnings. Wayfair up here another 9.3%. So retail pretty much across the board. Slew of earnings coming tomorrow. Just seems like odd timing. And when I say odd, good. XCur halted here.
One thing that I'm kind of curious about, gosh, we're about to hit the pre-pandemic high and maybe even all-time high here from so December 3rd, 2018 for United Airlines. That was the pre-pandemic high of 97.85, and we are just a matter of cents away from that. The thing that I'm curious about with United Airlines is that I was reading about how there's an expectation of a strong holiday travel season. And United Airlines and the other airliners, they start reporting in January, toward the end of January. So I'm thinking, with how extended this is, let's wait for a pullback. And if we get that pullback, we might end up being able to take advantage of a trade that runs up into the earnings. I don't think I would want to hold this through earnings. I'm not sure how they'll guide next year after that they report that quarter. But I think with how strong this quarter is and how extended this is, we should watch for a pullback, and that might give us an opportunity to go along and take it up into earnings.
Okay, so sweet. So that's again, we just had Matt on talking about trying to maybe play a regression back to the mean here. It's interesting. You're looking for a pullback here to maybe reload that. By the way, they did have Phil LeBeau on CNBC earlier confirming that this week extremely busy in the airports there, a lot of travel for the Thanksgiving holidays, so that kind of plays into this as well. 13.
Hold on a second.
I want to take a look at Delta as well real quick, ticker DAL. That also high. It's actually higher than those pre-market highs, just like on United.
Okay, so here's something I'm going to put into the chat here. This is the TSA website that tells you what the passenger volumes are year over year, so you can get an idea of just what how busy the traveling is in any given day. And this is daily. It goes back to last year, and it tells you how many folks are passing through checkpoints. So there you go. That should help you get an idea. If you're doing any of the airlines trades or want to get on, look at travel, I think that's a good tool to look at for determining if we're going to have a busy season or not.
I'll tell you what, I'm, I do a lot of traveling. No stranger to traveling, but I am glad I'm not traveling during this week. This is the week I want to be home chilling. I want to take advantage of this market. I want to be here with you guys, and I want to avoid large, crazy crowds of crazy people at the airport.
Yeah, I don't want to have my flight delayed because some guy decided he wasn't going to, be quiet in his seat. Crazy that's where we're at these days.
I don't see Big B's asking, is there any news on RX here? Big B's, I don't see any news here on that. I don't see any forms or anything that would be leading to this 12.7% move to the upside here. We'll say this was a pretty nice move as it moved through VWAP to the upside.
I think you're getting, let me just check on one thing here, because I think I know what it is we're getting here.
In RX?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go to Stay Focus's question next.
Yeah, just bear with me for a second, and I'll give you the lowdown on that.
I'll take a stat while you're doing that here. So stay focused here. So 13, do you think oil will be lower next year? If so, airlines up? No. So yes, if oil ends up trading lower here, obviously that would be great for the airlines, especially Delta. Seems to me like the airline thesis there was just for it's gone too far too fast. Let's wait for it to cool off and then maybe start up the next play for a long side trade, especially if earnings confirm that. You know, you might be in a situation where oil's low, but I think 13 said it was January when they're going to be reporting those earnings. You might have a case where oil is lower going into that report, and then you might have a pretty decent report from the travelers over the holiday season. So that actually might be your long side thesis there, if we do see that. Oil here, by the way, is crude here down 2.67%, 69.34.
So when it comes to RX, when we look at a daily chart, this thing was getting slammed last week, and it actually ended up making a 52-week low. So that combined with the low RSI, combined with the high short interest, because I'm getting on this one, it says almost 25% of the float shorter with 16.4 days to cover. I think we're getting this is a squeeze combined with low RSI, combined with just some of the other biotechs lifting the space today. This is a combination of things, but I think this is also from a short squeeze as well.
Real quick here, the good stuff there on RX. Nice little dig in there in real time, by the way, 13. Folks, just FYI, RCAT, I know we've been talking about this a lot today. I know it's sold off out of the open. It's done a really good job grinding. It recovered the VWAP, trying to go higher here. Watch this 950 spot. There's a little block there at 950 that has been stopping it. If RCAT has any type of upside momentum, watch for a potential pop through that. And let me know if you did want to take a stab here at Stay Focus's question regarding oil and airlines.
So I think, okay, so I don't want to say yes or no, but I'll tell you what my thought is here on this. We saw from the last Trump administration that oil was not great to own throughout his entire presidency. It was like the least or worst performing sector throughout his entire presidency. So I'm inclined to believe it'll be lower next year and for the next 4 years. So that would be good for airlines, yes. The thing is that with the amount of geopolitical conflicts going on in the world, it just seems like we're one event away from oil spiking. So I think I'd want to be careful with oil, just given the geopolitical tensions. But in if things start to cool down, Israel's not going to strike Iran's oil facilities or anything like that. If everything goes back to normalizing, then yes, I think oil will underperform and we'll likely see airlines do better. I agree with that. The only other caveat is regional conflicts increase, that causes oil to rise, in which case they won't do as good. So that's my thought on oil and the airlines.
Good stuff. Good stuff there. Real quick, Chris, love hearing this. Today is definitely a top 25 day in my swing account. Giddy up. Have all of you to thank. You're part of the community too. Tap yourself in the back. Have a great day. Book the profits and let's do it again tomorrow. Sounds like a deal to me. We will absolutely do that.
And I'm loving to hear this going into the holiday because while everybody's sitting around at their Thanksgiving table talking about how great things have been going with them this year, you can talk about how you've been hanging out with the Benzinga crew and making money. Maybe we'll get some more folks to join us.
Yep, absolutely. Probably have less fighting too than if you were to discuss politics or whatever the regular discussions at Thanksgiving are. But I digress here. RCAT, by the way, as we were talking, it did bust through that 950. Good stuff there. And then Jay, you're mentioning odd. This is a ticker you gave us last week. Told us about this one. Jay here mentioning odd. It tried to shake me out 2 weeks ago, or maybe it wasn't last week. Maybe it was before. You did tell us about this though. Tried to shake me out 2 weeks ago like Hims did. Now it's breaking out 17% short and 16 days to cover. Here are going to be those stats here. Jay, I got more of a read than that, buddy. I got 31, almost 32% of its float shorted here. That read was from November 11th. So I guess we are due for another update here. Days to cover over 38.
So if he's getting... Yeah, if his is earlier, I'm sorry, if it's is newer than what we have, then they've been covering.
Well, remember, those reports are released via the filings. So any number that is not out of those filings, which is what we're reporting, are estimations. Okay. And we can't speak to regardless, Jay's theme here of this being highly shorted, it's still intact here. And this does also look like it's trying to break out here. Really good conviction there, Jay, not allowing yourself to get shaken out. I'll tell you what, getting shaken out of trades is probably one of the things that's happened to me the most recently this year.
So what's interesting about this one is that earlier this month, they announced they were going to do a share repurchase, $100 million share repurchase, which is basically, 2.35 million shares out of their almost 20 million share float. So they could be doing this themselves right now. They could be squeezing out shorts at this moment. They could be buying right now.
Would be cool. Rigetti, this popping here again. QUBT popping to the high end of its range here. Let's see if QUBT can take out 850 potential spot there. Q3M. I'm sorry, that's what we opted to call it earlier.
Just makes it easier. Yeah, Q3M and Wilds, those two not performing well today. They dropped and then kind of went sideways. Maybe later on, they'll after the lunch hour, they'll come back, but not a trade for me. Wanted to see some more volume than that. Rocket Lab and Lunar look like they have been going sideways and finding a bottom here. These could be interesting for a VWAP recapture and run trade later on today. So Rocket Lab trying to recapture its VWAP. Lunar trying to do the same thing. Don't take them off your watch list. They might be getting ready to do something later today.
I'm going to bring up Lunar here real quick.
Okay.
NVIDIA, so it looks like NVIDIA is off that low print. We watched NVIDIA really kind of sell off all morning. Now, the interesting thing for me for the rest of the day here will be, do they buy this back to balance? Do we actually come up back towards that break-even point, 142? I've seen this before. I've seen the buy the dipper step in before. Let's see if they do it again here on NVIDIA.
Rigetti, this is really starting to look like it could be putting an intraday head and shoulders in. So if we are getting the right shoulder forming now, then this is probably going to be about the time to take the gains or be done with this one, because this is going to go lower if this is the pattern we are going to get here. So be careful with Rigetti. Volume is starting to really, volume has really dried up in this one. Pattern's not looking great. If we start to pull here and lose VWAP, I think this could be done for probably the rest of the day.
Okay, good stuff there on Rigetti. We hit that already. Izzy here mentioning, I gave you Xena, guys. Yeah, indeed you did. Xena actually popping right here on volume 2, biggest volume candle of the day. This is the move that I would have sold into if I was still in this.
Wow.
Xena, good call here, Izzy. Good stuff this morning.
So this one was an IPO, and then it back in October, and then it just fell out of bed. That's what it looks like. This is a drone play? Oh, wow. Okay. So let's see here.
Enterprise software technology company that specializes in mission-critical cloud-based applications integrated with smart hardware. Deliver innovative solutions across diverse industries. That is as vague as it gets. Drones are part of it.
Okay. Hold on one second. Just give me a
Absolutely.
Tip. I want to check on something here. Is that's interesting. I want to see if this actually may have a chance to get back up to where it was IPO'd at. Let me see. So the outstanding shares 17 million, and the float is just under 2. So under 2 million shares in the float. on Xena makes it easy enough to push around, which is, one of the reasons why we're getting the price action we're getting today. But if this drone theme remains hot, I think this could just push right back up to where it IPO'd, maybe get back over $10. Don't know how long that's going to take. It might not even do it at all, but if this theme remains hot, there's a very real possibility it could do just that.
Big B's here mentioning S&P. So let's take a look here at SPY. S&P looking like it's going to continue lower. I would agree with that. Here's your intraday formation. This, to me, unable to get above its VWAP here and likely testing some of these lows. We'll see if it does roll over. Sitting on the weekly open. Oh, here you go. Here's your weekly chart. Let me zoom in a little bit so that's actually visible. Plenty of liquidity below. This could try and fill the opening gap from yesterday night when the futures opened. Here we go. And so here's the little gap that you're talking about in here between these two candles. We'll see if SPY continues to the downside. Looking at the intraday chart here, Big B's, yes, this does look like this is trying to break lower here. So it's crazy. We saw so much strength, saw a new all-time high here, and now it looks like SPY wants to go lower.
Well, just so nobody starts to really worry. I mean, I'd like to see the market come back in, but just keep in mind the last time we made an all-time high over 600, that was also a red day. We popped to a high and came back and closed lower. So shouldn't be too much concern or anything like that, since we're getting the same thing today. And look, we made new all-time highs anyway after that. But it could indicate a reversal.
Jay mentioning UMAC here. This is another drone play. Unusual Machines, ticker UMAC. This also higher here today. Okay, 13. We're out of time. I'll tell you what, this flew by, dude. We had an amazing. There was so many good calls here from the group. So much money being made. I'm going to send you guys over to Trader Bacon now. We will be back tomorrow. Look ahead here. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back Wednesday. We're going to be back on Friday. So we're just going to take Thanksgiving off. Any closing words for the group here, 13?
Folks, great morning. You also pat yourselves on the back. You did awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it again tomorrow, okay? I'll see you then.
Yep, sounds good. 13, thanks so much, folks. An awesome start to the week. Hopefully enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving week. Going to send you over to Trader Bacon. We'll see you tomorrow.